veterans, but now it seems like there's a little more experience with this group.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly right. When we made that tournament run in 2021, we lost a real good veteran team, and we kind of started over again, playing a lot of young guys, and that's now the guys that are juniors and seniors, mostly the seniors. We got a good clean senior class of 6 guys and about 3 juniors that were in that mix when, in that rebuilding year, and so yeah, we had to add some young kids to it, and I think we got a good nucleus of a pretty good squad this year.
How tough will it be to replace 2 of the best players in the area from last year, A.J. Gerber, Riley Kearns? Both kids had outstanding seasons. How tough will it be to replace those guys?
Yeah, I mean, and you always lose seniors every year, and it's always something that's just a given. You have to replace good players, and guys have to step up. And yeah, we lost 2 good ones last year. I think Riley's playing at Wittenberg now, and AJ's is golfing at Bluffton. So both quality kids, and brought a lot to our program. So yeah, then we're going to definitely miss those guys.
You have 10 returning letter winners from your team this season. Out of those letter winners, who do you think is going to be the leader for the Sailors this year?
I think, we have 6 seniors. I think, Cody Schwark is one of the returning players that probably both or all 3 phases of the game. He'll be our shortstop. He can catch. He'll be our number 1 pitcher. He'll be one of our top hitters. I think, he's one of those guys that, one of those guys we're definitely counting on to have a good year. But all those seniors, Cohen Mooney at first base, Cole Eschenauer at second, Will Matheson in the mix at third. We're short, and Logan Peterson in center field. Oliver Roy will be our number 2 pitcher or 3 pitcher, and he'll be in the outfield. And those are our seniors. Those are our 6 seniors. I don't think I forgot anybody. Evan Coons is back. He's a 2-year letterman as a junior. He'll be our cleanup hitter, left fielder, taking that spot. Like I said, we got some good young kids to fill in the other 3 spots and fill in our pitching staff. So I think, that we got some guys that can play a big role in that respect. So I think we got a good mix of kids, a lot of leadership. Those seniors and juniors are lights out as far as leaders. So I'm really happy with that, and so that's hopefully we can put it all together.
Is there any games in particular on your schedule this year that you're looking forward to play? Is it the Sandusky Bay Conference, or is it just out of conference? Any games in particular you're looking forward to play?
Oh yeah, I mean we always look forward. We talk about every game being playing every game like a championship game. That's one of my things I always say, because I think you have to look at it that way. But when you look at at the Sandusky Bay Conference, last year the co-champs were Edison and Huron, and they're both going to be tough to beat again this year. They're going to be on top of one of the teams to beat in the league. They got a lot of returning players, and they'll be good. So I mean, we're going to have to, when we talk about winning the conference, we're going to have to knock those guys off at least one of the 2 times we play them, I think, to have a chance to win the league. And I think it's possible with the team we have. And other than that, in the county, we play Amherst. Will be a big game. Elyria Catholic will be a big game. Firelands is always a big game. So, those are probably the red letter dates, so to speak, on the schedule. But, I think all of them are important. We just got to get out and worry about us. That's one of the things I always say. That our 2 main goals are win the day and worry about us. Because if we do that, I think everything else takes care of itself.
Jeff Keck, head coach of the Vermilion Sailors, joining us here on the Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. Well, I think it's interesting when you talk about the conference. The SBC, always tough. You alluded to that a little bit earlier when we had you on last year. You also talked about that, how many strong programs there are in that conference. You guys held your own playing 500 ball in the SBC last year. For those of us here in Lorain County that don't get a chance to see the SBC so much, can you talk about just why it's so strong from top to bottom and always tough to play in?
Well, there's the way the divisions are split up. Last year was the first year back in the Bay Division. We had been in the Lake Division with Perkins and Clyde and Bellevue and Tiffin, Columbian, and I'm probably missing somebody, but that we had been in that conference, so being back in the Bay Division, and it's not any easier for sure. I mean, there's they're supposedly the smaller schools in the league, but there's still some good programs, strong programs. You got, I mentioned Edison and Huron, but Margaretta's good, Willard's good, Port Clinton will be a lot better. So I mean, every day, every game, every conference game, you got to come to play, and you can't you can't relax. So that's what makes it fun about it.
You talked about Cody Schwark a little bit earlier. You talked about how you expect him to kind of lead the staff this season. And I know pitching is expected to be one of your strengths this year. Can you tell us about that pitching staff and why you think that could be one of your strengths?
Well, I think Cody had he had the second most innings thrown last year, I think, behind Riley Kearns. He was behind Riley in just about every category. Might have even had a better ERA. I'm not sure exactly what the stats were there, but he had a good year pitching last year, so he'll anchor the staff. Oliver Roy got a lot of innings in last year, a lefty senior, a veteran. I guess he would be the definition of a crafty lefty. Doesn't throw hard necessarily, but he throws strikes, and he's got a lot of breaking stuff, and he just is able to get guys out. A couple of the young guys, looking at Mason Cooper could be a factor. Adam Gerber could be a factor. That's AJ's brother. We got a couple other young guys, freshmen. One of the freshmen, Christian Voorhees, has looked good. He's a left-handed pitcher. Brody Morrow's a good young pitcher. So, I mean, we're working on developing some depth. So I think a lot is there's a lot of we have to figure out a lot of things yet because it's still early, but I think we got a nucleus of a pretty good pitching staff.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier. You have to worry about yourselves, but you've had an amazing coaching career. What has worked best for you in the past in your coaching career?
I don't know what has worked as far as I've been blessed to have good players, and not necessarily only just good talented players, but they're also good kids, and I think that's been the reason I've been able to do it for so long. They, have had good groups of kids that were dedicated and just were very coachable, and it's just been I've been blessed to have kids like that. So I think I don't know if that's my secret, but that's just what I've been blessed to have happen to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we've got to stick with that for a second here. We weren't going to let you out of here without talking about you being inducted in the OHSAA Hall of Fame. So congratulations.
Well,
that's really fantastic. Over 500 wins. I know we talked about that a little bit last year. I think you had just eclipsed that last year. And it's got to mean the world to you because you talked about not only you, but all the kids who have come through your system and gone on to be successful, not just in baseball, but in life.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm most proud of. I mean, it's everything's, that all that stuff is nice, but me being able to just make a positive impact on kids, that's what I've always, I pray to God I do that every day to make a positive impact on kids, and that's really what it's all about, and that's what means the most to me. So I've been able to do that, I think, and that's what the most important thing is.
Well, every team's got goals at the beginning of the season. Do you have a few?
Yeah, like I said, I think I always say it's on our board in the locker room. Number one is to win the day, whether it be a practice day or a game day or a scrimmage day or no matter what it is, just win the day. And the second one is take care of us. And then I think probably every team in the United States of America has a goal to win the league and win 20 games and make it to the regionals. And I mean we have those goals too, but I think if we do the first two, I think that's going to take care of everything else.
You've had some scrimmages already.
We
had
have
plenty of practices, even though it's been a little bit chilly. You told us before we came on the air, you guys have been outside quite a bit.
We have more than a lot of years, and I'm going to give a hats off to our grounds crew. I mean, our field has been ready this year earlier than ever. We've been able to practice, when I remember years where we didn't even get a scrimmage in, and we played our first game because the weather was so bad. So, it's been a good spring. I mean, you're always going to get cold weather like today, but But yeah, it's been good.
What are the benchmarks? Like, there are certain temperatures you hit where you say, okay, maybe we can't go outside. How does that work for you?
I don't know if I've ever figured that out. I
It's
still,
just a guesstimate,
I still
right?
just, it just sometimes it can be cold, but like if it's sunny and there's no wind, it's really doable. But that wind, like today, when it's there's no sun and it's 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it just makes it miserable. So I mean, it just depends, I guess.
You, like the rest of the county, were blessed with some 70-degree days back at the beginning of the
Oh,
month.
yeah, for sure. I know. We moved us. I think our first scrimmage was against Elyria, and it wasn't supposed to be till like last Thursday, but we moved it up because we were supposed to get such a nice day. We didn't want to waste it.
Right, take advantage.
So yeah.
Well, and it's tough, too, because, again, you just never know what you're going to be dealing with from one day to the next. So you've got to get out there as often as you can. Can you talk about that, too, just how different that is? I mean, look, you can practice inside of the gym all day long.
Yeah.
It's a totally different world when you get outside. The atmosphere is different. The hops are different. The sight lines are totally different. Can you talk about what a big difference that makes when you can get outside and play in scrimmage and practice?
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure. I mean, it's outside is for sure. That's where the game's meant to be played. But I always tell our kids, and when we have to practice inside, you just got to make more of it than anybody else is. You got to, make sure that you're getting quality reps, whether it's on the gym floor or whether it's outside on the field. We did a lot of live hitting in the batting cage today, and everybody got really like 3 or 4 at bats against our pitchers. So I mean, we'd say that's got to be like simulating a game. We count, we chart them, everything. We chart them, and I put the production points up and try to make it competitive, and you just got to do stuff like that to keep it going. When you have to stay inside. So that's what we've been doing.
I think this is a question we'll probably ask a lot throughout the course of the show. But when you do those simulated innings or those simulated games in the cage, in the gym, you think that's tougher on the hitters or on the pitchers to try and do that?
Oh, it's tougher on the hitters for sure.
That was my guess.
Oh, yeah. If you're in a confined area, it's, guys pumping 80 miles an hour, and it's not, the lighting's bad, and you're in a cage, and it's like, it's definitely a pitcher's advantage.
Yeah, especially because you're pitching against your teammate.
For
you know
sure.
the weak spots, the cold spots.
Yeah.
And I guess that could certainly work both ways, but at the same time, I think, to me, it's the visual. When you're in that gym, you're right, the lighting is not as great.
Yeah.
And it's just tough because, they're throwing off of an artificial mound, too,
Yeah.
right? So there are a lot of things that kind of take the realism out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes it a lot tougher. But again, to me, it's just everything that I'm seeing. It totally changes, right, when you get out in the open air.
Yeah.
It feels like
that's
you're closed up. When I played in high school, it felt like you were always closed in. Like you didn't have the free will to hit the baseball anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to get out. That's where it's meant to be played. So.
Yeah, it's tough to simulate, but you know what? You do what you have to do.
You do.
Right?
Yep. That's right.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thank you so
thank
much
you
for
guys.
stopping by.
Thank
Best
you
of luck
guys.
to you guys
Appreciate
this
it.
Good luck this
Thanks.
season, Coach.
Thanks, you guys.
Hall of Fame head coach Jeff Keck of the Vermilion Sailors joining us here at the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show, live from Smitty's Place here in Elyria, where friends go to meet. Our thanks to Steph Forthover and the entire staff for hosting us here tonight. We'll go ahead and step aside and take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we'll get Bruce Lasicki of the Elyria Catholic Panthers to join us to talk about what they have coming up this spring. It's the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show, live from Smitty's Place in Elyria on the Lorain County Sports Network. back out to Smitty's Place here in Elyria, broadcasting live on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button and follow us as well here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Tonight we've got the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show, learning new things about these programs as we get ready to kickstart the season. And joining us now is Bruce Lisicki with the Elyria Catholic Panthers. Coach, great to see you as always, my friend.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you on. And, you know, I'm not sure if this was a scrimmage or a real game, but Max Preps already have you guys down for a 10-5 decision against Avon Lake. Was that a scrimmage or was that a real game?
No, yeah, that's just scrimmages. Regular season starts Saturday.
Nice. Who do you guys have on Saturday?
Saturday, Ridgeville.
Nice. So you guys will get going as long as Mother Nature allows it, right? But they say
Are you at-
60s is Saturday, right?
Yeah, Ridgeville.
Yeah, so it's at our school, but we always schedule them, and it always gets moved over there with the
Because
the
they got
weather
turf,
gets, right.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, what were some of your major takeaways from that scrimmage against Avon Lake?
Well, we're still trying to figure out our pitching staff. We lost everybody from last year, so it's all new arms coming up. Very little experience there, but we have a couple promising guys, and we just threw a different guy out there every inning and just trying to see who's going to throw strikes for us and step up.
Coach Keck was talking about how the weather's cooperated just enough for those guys to get outside. I assume for you guys it's been more of the same. Have you guys been able to get out there quite often and get outside and practice?
Yeah, probably like a handful of times we've been out. We usually run out Lost Nation, so we have that whole turf indoor facility there. But, having 32 kids in there and, trying to divide it up in an hour and a half, we just got to keep on moving and, be pretty organized of who's going through the cages and infield, outfield, and getting pitchers reps. So I think we got it down to a science now so we can get all that accomplished in an hour and a half. But we have been outside and be able to use our field, and so the kids can work on working off a real infield instead of like a turf. So we're coming along pretty well.
It's always different, taking those hops off the infield turf. Then you get outside, they're not as natural, right? They hit a rock or they hit something, they bounce one way or the other. So it always feels like it takes you a couple practices outside to really kind of get your feet back underneath you.
It does, and with the being wet out and in the spring like this, and some of the balls in the outfield will stick or don't get it as good as a bounce, and you don't get true hops in the infield. We just redid our infield last fall, and it's been phenomenal with the rain and everything. It's been recovering real well, and the kids are getting good hops on the dirt, but the grass has still got a little ways to go.
You mentioned this earlier, but you said you're trying to figure that pitching staff out, try and find out who fits where. Who are some of the names for us to watch out for on that staff?
Right now, probably like Isaiah Amaris, Zachariah Gaines. He came in from Eds, and Jack Hurst threw a few innings for us last year. And then there's probably 5 or 6 guys that are going to be in the mix.
You're in a brand new conference this year. What is the conference going to be like this year for you with all that traveling and seeing brand new teams?
It's going to be prepared for the playoffs, first of all. It's a tough conference. Everything I researched up on all those other teams, they're all like top elite programs. I know Padua went real far in the playoffs last year. Lake Catholic's good. CVCA is going to be really good, and then Holy Name is someone we're familiar with, and so those are always good battles with us. As for traveling, we played a lot of those Palmer schools and traveled a lot last year for like 45, 50 minutes. So, an extra 15, 20 minutes probably won't make a whole lot of difference to us.
You have 9 returning letter winners for you this season. Who's going to lead the Panthers this season offensively?
Well, that's a tough call. Last year, Lex Lear hit well for us. Noah Willett's only a sophomore. He batted over 400 for us. But I'm expecting, Zach Gaines, Isaiah Amaris, Luke Doss, and Mason Knapp, I think, is going to have a real good year for us, as well as Caden Petronio.
Well, you got a lot of people to choose from.
Yes, I think hitting's going to be our strong point. And we have a good mix of sophomores and juniors in there that I think not looking ahead, but by the tournament and next year, I think we're going to have a really solid team.
How many people you have in the senior class this year?
4, and then 2 of them are main or starters, and then the other 2 would be nice reserves.
I want to go back to that travel for just a minute. I know we touched on this when we spoke about a year ago, because I think at the time you guys were still in the old conference, getting ready to make that transition. And I thought you made an interesting comment saying, look, going to Parma takes at least 45 minutes with the traffic and everything else, and going all the way to the other side of town between CVCA, Elyria Catholic, and also NDCL way out in Chardon. So you'll certainly have some long bus trips, but you think that could certainly work out to your advantage later on in the year, right? Because if you go as far as you want to go, you'll be taking some pretty long bus trips then too. So it certainly wouldn't be a foreign language to you guys when you get 2-3 weeks into May.
Oh, definitely. The kids will be used to it. They put their headphones on and, just relax and for the bus ride there. I think the trip home's what's going to be the issue there. If they're not packing a snack or something, or, a second lunch to take there, and, you play 2 hours and you got another hour and a half home, or if they have homework to do, and, they're probably going to kind of be worn out. But I only think there's probably 3 trips that will be the long ones like that.
There's pros and cons too, right? I think we've talked about a lot of the good things. The other weird part about this too is because it feels like when you leave Lorain County and you go to Cuyahoga County, it's like you enter a different dimension. I mean, sometimes the weather's so totally different, so I know that can play some mind games with you when it comes to scheduling too.
Yeah, it does. You're going out further east, or if you're something closer to the lake, it's going to be cooler and, a lot windier, and, plus you'll just traveling, being tight like that, and then going out if it's cold, having to, make sure they're hydrated and, stretch very well.
Talked about how the kids kind of put their headphones on and kind of get in their own little zone. What does the coach do on those long bus trips?
Just talking to the other coaches, or just going over the lineup and everything, and making sure everything's set, and texting my family back home, and just relaxing as well.
Killing time, right? Just killing time on that bus.
There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah. I know all about that, man. I used to ride those buses. I was in the South Atlantic League, so I still got the saddle scars. But a 7-8 hour bus trip was actually no big deal. That was kind of the average back then.
We didn't have cell phones when I was younger like that, so I'm up to
spoiled.
par with these kids on there.
Yeah, you rode the buses back when you had the VCR on the bus, right?
Right.
Yeah, like those TV monitors set up like every 5 or 6 seats. You remember those, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you hit a rough spot, it might just jar the VCR. You get the scrambling going on the whole 9 yards.
The seats with the springs sticking out and all that,
Yeah, we had guys who would actually lay down and they would sleep in the aisleway. It was just dirty and not sanitary, but it worked. They were looking to get some shut-eye. That was the only way to do it.
It's a different world now.
Yeah, totally different world. Well, last year, fell to Keystone sectional title game, tightly contested contest to end the year. How much motivation do you think that gave your group heading into this season?
We after that game, I talked to the kids, and I just tell them, I go, remember this feeling, and it's not a good feeling, and you don't want to have this next year, and next season doesn't start next February. It started the next day, and you need to start preparing then and get yourself ready. Because if you're waiting until the first day of practice this year, you waited too long and it's too late.
You mentioned earlier you guys open up this weekend. Knock on wood. Right now, looks like 60 degrees over the weekend. Hopefully that forecast holds and you guys get plenty of cooperation from Mother Nature. But what are some things you're looking for in practice this week as you guys get ready for that game?
I'm just going over situations, getting the kids. A couple of kids were hurt, coming back now, and just getting them reps and up to par with everybody else. And we still have 2 more scrimmages this week, so kids will still get in some live bats and some competitive competition.
Do you guys have a lot of multi-sport athletes on your club?
Not really. This is probably the first year I didn't have a lot of kids that were sitting out for basketball. A few kids play football, but this year we really didn't run into that.
I was hoping you might have one of your wrestlers making that transition over.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for too. Do you have any newcomers or players you're still looking to see in this week in your scrimmage besides your pitching staff? Like anyone defensively or offensively you're still looking at to see who could be in your starting lineup this Saturday?
Zach Gaines transferred in, and he broke his finger right before the season, had some pins removed, and he just got released today. They hit and field and stuff. So actually he's a switch hitter, but he only can bat right-handed. So I need to take a good look at him This Ryan White, a catcher, came in, transferred in, a sophomore, and he had a slight fracture in his cheekbone in our first scrimmage.
Wow.
But they cleared him 5 days off, and then it wasn't an area, I guess, that was too serious. And then, you can wear the face guard helmet. But
better now than during the season.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to, I want to get a good look at him as well.
Last year when we talked, you had talked about how, a lot of these kids are on different throwing programs. They've got their own personal pitching coaches in the offseason too. And I think you made the comment that you want a lot of these guys to kind of shut down maybe in December to give their arms a little bit of rest before they ramp back up again. How does that plan work? You want them ramping up again in February to make sure they're ready for just about now to rock and roll?
Yeah, I tell them just over the winter at some point shut it down for at least a month, and then just ease back into it so that by the time we start at the end of February that you're able to go 100%. But, we still need to stretch some of these kids out, and none of these kids in the first 2 weeks will probably be able to go a whole game. So that's the plan.
About how many times out do you need to see them throw before you can figure out, what, it looks like they're loose, it looks like they're ready, and they've taken care of their arm in the offseason?
Like with these scrimmages, I would like to stretch them out a little bit more, but it's being cold out. There's other kids I got to look at, so I've been throwing maybe these guys 2 innings. The nice thing is most of these kids are positional players, so they're playing shortstop or second or third, and they're making a lot of throws. So it's not the pitching mechanics, but they're getting their 100 and
They're getting their
120
reps
throws.
in.
Exactly.
Great stuff. Every time I see you, I think about that playoff game you guys played 5 or 6 years ago, where you batted around 3 times in that first inning.
Oh,
you actually had a
yeah.
pinch hit for your leadoff man, because I think he had 2 or 3 knocks already in that first inning. You scored like 20 runs. Remember that game?
Yeah, I do.
It always comes at the top of my mind. I've never
Right.
seen a game like that before. I probably will never see one like that ever again.
Yeah, I didn't like to be in that situation, but I didn't, we needed to pick up a game. I didn't know much about the school we're playing at the time, and it worked out good to get a lot of kids that weren't getting a lot of playing time, some reps, as well.
Tell you what, though, every time I look back at that game, I don't know how you could have handled that any better than you did. Knowing that situation, it was probably rough for the other team too, but I thought you guys handled that perfectly. There was no
thanks.
ill will anywhere surrounding that situation. You guys couldn't do anything different, right?
No, right. Yeah, you stop running on pass balls and don't take extra bases, and you don't like to show them up, and it's a new program developing, and hopefully they were picking up some things off of us and the right way to do things.
Yeah, well, and I can vouch there were no advancements on pass balls, wild pitches, and it seemed like that was happening like every other pitch.
It's a playoff game, so you have to, at some point, you got to decide, all right, when you call off the horses. And, I did that one time a few years ago where we were like right at the 10-run or 11-run rule. And, we started coasting, not moving, and the next thing you know, the score was like 13-7. So I kind of got to read the competition a little bit better, in that situation. And
Good stuff. Coach Lisicki, best of luck this season.
all right, thank you.
Good to
Good
see
luck
you as
this
always.
season, Coach.
All right, thanks.
Elyria Catholic head coach Bruce Lisicki joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet for the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. Let's take a quick timeout, and we'll come back with more coaches lined up here. We'll start running right down through the line here in just a moment on the Lorain County Sports Network. back out to Smitty's Place here in Elyria where friends meet. It's the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show here on the Lorain County Sports Network. He's Jared Viancourt. I'm Andy Bulbarch, and we've got coaches ready to rock and roll. The next man up is Ken Schuster with the Open Door Patriots. Coach, we appreciate the time. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Well, you're telling us a few moments ago, off air, your first head coaching gig, right? This has got to be very exciting for you. And it's a nice year last year, 15-9, 7-1 in conference play. And, well, you guys had some of the top hitters in the area. You guys had guys who were taking the cover off the ball. Which of those guys are coming back for you?
So we got Jacob Godby coming back, batted .417, 17 RBIs last year. We lost Tyler Reeser and Ben Comer, but Jacob's the only senior we have this year. And I wish I had like 10 guys with Jacob right now, you know, because he just comes out and battles every single day.
And you were telling us off there, too, right now trying to drive the numbers up, but right now you've got 11 kids in the program. That's got to be tough, especially when you're getting practices going. But you've also had some scrimmages, too, right?
Yeah, we had 3 scrimmages so far. We had Firelands, and we took our beating. Then we scrimmaged Midview and Keystone, and we had a lot better, you know, correct the mistakes and fix all the issues that were going on. So we were excited about that.
Well, we talked about it. This is your first year taking over for Coach Reeser. You were with him last year, though, so you had a pretty good handle on what was going on with the program. What are some of your early impressions about this group that you've got?
So this group comes in, and they compete every single day. And the thing with these guys is we know we're the underdogs. You know, we're a small school, Division VII, and we're just going to battle. And we're going to try to make all the small things the correct things. And we just kind of keep on, hey, get better each day, get better each day. And that's what the group does. I talked to my coaching staff last week, and they said from beginning of when we started February tryouts to now, the improvement these guys have made, and that's just the guys coming in and putting work ethic every single day. So,
your first year as the head coach of the Open Door Patriots, what does your team identity want to be this season?
So we're going to come out and we're just going to battle, and we're going to not take shortcuts. We decided that when we take shortcuts, we just harm ourselves, you know, and we want to just kind of go after the teams and just prove that, you know, we don't put a name for Open Door at Lorain County.
Who have some of the leaders been for you guys in practice?
So talked about our senior Jacob Godby. We have 2 juniors, Nikos Polis and Evan Reed. And Evan Reed was on the team last year, and he really comes in. He just works hard, and he has a good attitude. And that's one of the things about these kids. They just have great attitudes. And like I said, their work ethic is just resilient to anything.
Seems like the bats were kind of your strength a season ago. Do you expect a lot of that to be the case this season?
So right now our strength is just we're going to kind of – our defense is more our strength. We struggle hitting some of the outside pitches right now, and that's what we've been really working on in practice is outside pitches, going middle away, you know, just have approach, quality of bats, and it's just kind of drilling them. And, you know, they seem to be each, like I said, we had each scrimmage. We've been improving on our things, and we're excited to open up with Luther West on Saturday. So.
You mentioned you have 11 players on the team. Do you expect everyone to pitch with a small team like that, or do you have a selective players that are going to pitch for you this season?
We have 7 quality pitchers and 3 that are training right now. So we have 1 pitcher that's not going to pitch, but we have 10 pitchers right now. And so it's just going to be we got to throw strikes, we got to play defense.
Let's get into some of those arms, because it seems like we talked a lot about what you guys have done in the field defensively and what you guys have going on at the dish. Who are some of those arms you expect to contribute?
Yeah, so we have the Reed brothers, Evan Reed and Ann Reed. They're both lefties. They both throw strikes consistently. And after that, we have Trevor Taylor and Nikos Polos. And Nikos Polos is also our number 1 catcher, and he's probably our 3 or 4 pitcher. So that's where it comes tough to, you know, hey, how do you save the arm for catching, but we need him for pitching also.
Do you have a catching depth? Do you have 3 catchers to choose from, or is it pretty much just 2 and that's it?
We have 2 catchers. So, yep, 2 catchers, and it's Jacob Godby. He was our outfielder last year, and he transferred to being a catcher, our backup catcher this year.
Wow. Well, with 11, you got to get creative, right?
Yeah. You only got 11 kids.
What are some of the expected tests you guys anticipate having to face in that Lake Effect Conference?
So we expect the teams to come after us hard, and knowing that we don't have the depth, we plan to see a lot of their number 1s going after us. And like we said, we just come in. If we throw strikes, we play consistent defense. You know, we told the guys that we're two different teams. When we do that, we're going to be on the right team, and we're going to compete, and we're just going to battle each and every day. Like I said, we just try to make ourselves better every single day, and that's what we've been doing.
You mentioned Lutheran West on
Yes.
Saturday to open things up?
Yeah.
All right, so what's the expectation for that opener? Because I know it's always tough when you get out there that first time, whether you're taking over as a first-year head coach or you've been doing this for 20-some years. I think there's always jitters going into that first game, no matter how many times you practice. What's the expectation on your behalf for that first game?
We practice how we play, and this whole week it's BLW. So we plan on coming in and going after them, and we know we're going to get the best from them. And Lutheran West has a great program out there, and we're just excited to have the opportunity to start the season there and go there and just compete. So we're expecting to try to get that first win Saturday.
In the Lake Effect Conference, who are you looking forward to facing the most?
There's Lawrence and there's Osborne Academy. And then they have Medina Christian, that's a good school. So these are all just good schools that we have against them, that they're facing against us. So we're excited just to go after it and compete.
Jeez, oh man, I thought Lisicky and those guys were going all over the place. You guys go down to Medina, Andrews Osborne's out in Wickliffe or Willoughby.
Yeah.
You guys have some long bus trips too.
Yeah, we got crazy bus trips going on right now.
Jeez, oh man.
You have to play cars in the bus or something. Pass the time.
I'm sure you guys have all that figured out, I'm sure, by now.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Coach Schuster, we appreciate the time. Best of luck to you guys this season. Thanks
all
for
right,
joining
thank
us.
you, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Good luck this season,
Thank you.
Coach.
Ken Schuster, head coach of the Door Patriots, joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet, live on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network for the Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. Let's take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll work in Travis Baldwin of the Brookside Cardinals. He's next up on the list here on our Lorain County Baseball Coaches Preview Show. Live on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network, coming your way from Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet. Come on down here and join us. Of course, they've got the Smitty Burger specials tonight: chicken noodle soup, sloppy Joe, mac and cheese bites, boom boom shrimp, sauerkraut balls. Sounds like a feast, Jared.
I don't even know what boom boom shrimp is, but it sounds delicious.
Oh man,
I'm a guy for seafood, man.
Got to expand that palate of yours, man.
Oh, trust me, I'm a wrestler. I cut weight for years. I have a very good palate.
Jeez. All right, well, we'll work on that later on, man. Tell me you've at least had a Smitty Burger before.
No, I have not.
Oh, no.
I have to try.
We're going to change that.
Yes.
We are going to change that,
we
man. It'll change your life, that Smitty Burger. It's wonderful stuff.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show, getting ready for the start of the season. For some teams, it's a little bit later on this weekend, depending on whether Mother Nature decides to cooperate or not. And for some teams, it'll be a little bit longer of a wait. But joining us now, we've got Travis Baldwin, head coach of the Brookside Cardinals. Coach, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Later on in this conversation, we're going to dive back into that conversation we had last year about change-ups. I
I'm
thought
excited.
That was really awesome. I'm jacked for it, too, man. I'm always excited to talk about change-ups. But coming off a year, you guys played 23 games, went 11-12, lost to Canal Fulton in the sectional semi. Well, you have a decent chunk of guys coming back. I count 6 seniors on this team. Is that right?
Well, unfortunately, we lost one to a torn ACL during football season. So, unfortunately, we're going to be without Nick Era, who was our top returning pitcher for next year. But we've got a lot of other guys. Our senior class being 5 deep still is great because they have a lot of varsity baseball played between them. And then we have a 6th that is coming up now this year. Who was on JV last year but looking to contribute a lot
So with Nick Era not being able to return for you this season, who are the guys that are going to lead that pitching squad for you?
So early on, we've got two seniors that are going to do a lot of heavy lifting. We got Joey Polensky and Joe DeLuca. They're both guys that throw really well, throw strikes, just battle. And then we break into a lot of young guys. We have like 3 or 4 sophomores that are going to throw a lot of innings for us. Danny Freeze, Mason Wechter, Ryan Albaugh. And then we've got 2 freshmen who are promising on the mound that made the varsity team recently and won through against Bree Mid Park on it was Tuesday last week and did a really good job. So we're looking at a lot of different options. We got a lot of guys that can throw. First time since I've been here that we have like 9 guys that can pitch. So
that's great.
It feels great. Yeah, it feels great right now.
9 guys that can pitch for
Mm-hmm.
you. So how long does it take you to figure out what kind of role these kids are going to fill?
I'm still trying to figure it out. It's I think it's something that's going to take some games. That first week we're going to do a lot of learning and put people in different spots just to do that learning. So because by the time you get to conference play, you got to know who's your guy in different situations. Especially our first 3 conference games are Keystone, Firelands, and Black River. So we definitely have to know right out of the gate who's going to be able to compete for us in big moments.
Every single year it feels like people can think they can pencil in who's going to win that conference. Then you get a curveball thrown at you, right? Like last year, a lot of people thought it was going to be Firelands, and then things just took a total change. Columbia kind of took the league by storm. How do you think you guys have done climbing that ladder, getting a little bit closer to the top? I know that was one of your goals last year, and I'm sure it's a goal of yours again this year to continue to climb that ladder and get toward the top of the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've done a great job. When I took over the program 3 years ago, we struggled in that first year. I did a lot of learning, and then we lost 9 seniors the following year. So that next year was a very young team that was trying to learn how to play. And last year we ended up hitting a stride where we won like 5 straight games. I think 3 or 4 of them were in conference, and that was great. We had some young guys on the team that were playing, some freshmen, and like a couple key senior contributors. So I think we're going to do a really good job climbing that ladder again. What we've preached all off season since we had our exit interviews in June was we're trying to win the conference. That is the number one goal. That's the only thing we care about, and just want to put ourselves in a position to do that this year. So I think we're in a good spot. It's a very tough conference. Every single team is good. Every team can beat you on any given day. And every team has, 3 or 4 pitchers that are really, really good. So it's going to take a lot for us to do it, but, we feel like we have a good confidence level going into the season.
You mentioned some of the seniors on your pitching staff. Who are some seniors that are either going to be leaders for you this season or you expect to be a big key in the offensive lineup?
Yeah, so I think all of our seniors are going to be leaders for us. Off the top of my head, we've got our returning shortstop and catcher, Joe DeLuca, shortstop, Zach Dole, catcher. Joey Polensky played a lot of first base for us, and Tyler Brennan is going to play some second base here and there for us, and he's just a great clubhouse guy. Everybody loves him. He does a lot of work for us. And then we've got Zach Terrell, one of the new ones coming up, who has been swinging a hot bat so far in our scrimmages, so we're excited to get him some looks in some different spots. As for other guys that are going to be leaders on our offensive side, Easton Weber, he's our leadoff hitter. He does a fantastic job. He had like 20-some walks last year. He's a prototypical leadoff guy, just works the count, gets on base, is fast. And our 2-hitter, Danny Freeze, he is a sophomore. He just hits the ball up the middle, I think, every single time. Which is exactly what we're looking for out of a 2-hitter. And but we have a lot of guys that are going to do a lot of good stuff for us this year, we think.
You mentioned you've done some scrimmages this season. How many scrimmages have you played so far? What have you seen from those scrimmages?
So far we've had 2. We had Lutheran West a couple weeks ago, and that was really good. I think, what we've preached this year is just hitting the ball. Put the ball in play. Good things are going to happen. And I think we had 12 hits in that game, and when we weren't like getting hits, the ball was in play, putting pressure on the defense to make errors. That's been a key, because high school baseball is going to be errors. Like that's just going to happen. If you play clean baseball, you're going to win a lot of games. So we want to put more pressure on teams, and we've done that in our scrimmages so far. And then the other one was Berea Mid Park, who's very, very talented. Both squads that we played are very talented. And we played well. We put the ball in play, played solid defense through the first two. So that has been the biggest key for us, is just, put the ball in play good defense, everything else will work itself out.
How does Mason Wechter factor into the equation for you guys?
So Mason right now is in line to be our starting right fielder. He's hit the ball well in both scrimmages we've had, and he's going to pitch a lot for us. He pitched in 2 games last year for us. We brought him up. He pitched on the road against Normandy, did a really, really good job, and then pitched on the road against Firelands and did a really good job. Should have picked up the win against Firelands, but we just made some errors and cost it. But he's going to pitch a good chunk for us. He's going to play some right field. He's he gets taller every day that I see him, which is kind of annoying. But
he's a sophomore, man. He's
I
still
know
growing.
it's
Still
crazy.
growing.
He's going to keep growing. I'm tired of looking up. My neck's starting to hurt. But it is what it is.
Well, let's get into this pitching staff a little bit more. Last year we had this great discussion on those change-ups, right? And I thought you made some interesting points. Because my question to you then was, is it tough to get some of these kids to buy into throwing that? Because the change-up's totally different now than it was, say, 10, 15 years
Absolutely.
ago. And you mentioned that once you get some of your hitters to step in and see that, they notice how effective that is. And that just seems to have a residual effect on the rest of the staff.
Yeah, so the minute anyone changes their grip on it and throws it one time, everybody else is trying it, which is good. We like that because you never know what is going to be a good fit for you. So it hasn't been as challenging to get them in on the pitches that we're trying to get them to throw because it's working. And I think that's a testament to what our staff has done, our pitchers, our coaches, just preaching that, you got to have something that can play off your fastball. You could throw 90 miles an hour. If you don't have something that plays off your fastball, it's going to be a lot harder to get people out because you can sit on that. You're not going to make contact every time, but the minute a changeup comes in, it's a whole new game. You're out in front. You're on your front foot. Weak contact or no contact is a good thing. So it's been great. We keep developing it every day. We'll play a lot of games during catch just to have them throw changeups and things like that. So it's been good so far.
Nowadays, I feel like kids are just throwing fastballs and curveballs, and when you incorporate the changeup, it looks like a fastball out of the hand, and then when it drops, it fools the hitter.
Absolutely, yeah. Kids all come into high school and they're like, yeah, I throw a fastball and a curveball. And it's like, okay, that's great, but what is your other pitch? And they're like, well, I don't have one. So, a curveball's great, but once you pick up on it, it's easier to see than something like a changeup because it just drops out of the way and it looks like a fastball the entire time. So that's been just a point of emphasis for us, and the kids really have taken it and run with it so far.
Less wear and tear on the arm when you're throwing that changeup,
Yeah,
or doesn't
for sure.
it matter?
Yep,
Okay.
a lot less wear because you're not, in a curveball, you're whipping your wrist and your arm all the way through that pitch, and it just puts so much strain on your elbow. Whereas a changeup is, you're just twisting your hand a little bit, makes it a world of difference.
You mentioned you guys had exit interviews in June. How involved are you allowed to get with these guys over the course of the summer?
So we get about 10 days that we can do little practices in the summer. We did about, I think, 6 of them this year, and then we participated in the Lorain County Baseball Classic over the summer because we had enough kids. It was fantastic. Amherst does a fantastic job putting that on. We were able to bring in some freshmen. Incoming freshmen are able to play in that, so it was cool to get a look at them and put guys in different positions throughout that. We were able to play Amherst, Midview, and Avon and get really, really good reps for all of our guys.
Schedule I saw says you guys open up on April 1st against Fairview. Is that accurate or no?
We have on the 31st we have Vermilion.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's coming up on us pretty quick.
Yeah,
here.
1 week away.
All right. So what kinds of things are you looking for from the guys in practice over the next 6 days to get ready for that?
We just want to see them compete in practice. After we have a scrimmage tomorrow against Euclid. After that, we're going to be doing a lot of live at bats, working on lengthening out our pitchers a little bit, get them throwing 60 pitches, and then taking a couple-day break, and just getting good reps, pitchers and hitters, and just want to see them grow in the next few days, and just preparing them and getting them in the mindset like, okay, we're going to play real baseball games now. We've treated every scrimmage so far like it's a real baseball game in terms of our attitude and how we show up and how we prepare and things like that. But just, that you lose the scrimmage tag in a week. So it gets real, and you gotta give everything you've got every single day, and it's going to be a grind. You're going to play 5 or 6 games in a week, and you get to play at most 27 in a regular season. So it's going to be a grind, but we're going to have fun and just get better every day is our goal.
I'm sure the guys are chopping at the bit to play somebody other than themselves in a game that starts to count, right?
Yes, they are so ready. We're ready as coaches to do it too. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Coach Baldwin, thanks for the time. Best of luck to you guys
Thanks
this
for
season.
having me on. We
Good
appreciate
luck
it.
this season, Coach.
Thank you.
Brookside head coach Travis Baldwin joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet for our 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. Counting down to the beginning of the regular season. We're not that far away. There's a few teams starting up this weekend. As Coach Baldwin mentioned, they start up against Vermilion next week. We're having some fun, man. This first hour is just flying by.
This is great.
You see many changeups when you played?
Yeah, because no one threw curveballs back in my day. I feel old saying that, but I graduated in 2019. No one was throwing curveballs. As soon as I left high school, everyone started throwing curveballs. So I didn't get the curveball memo, unless it was in summer ball.
So you faced a lot of changeups then?
Yeah,
huh?
I faced a lot of change-ups, a lot of 4 seams, 2
Splitters?
seams, occasionally.
Okay.
Occasionally.
Any sink action?
Not really.
We
but
saw none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I played, they threw me all curveballs. I figured he's a big guy. He's not going to be able to hit curveballs. And they were right. I couldn't hit fastballs either.
I couldn't hit anything. I was the pinch runner. Yeah,
but at least you served a purpose, man. I
Yeah.
just warmed up the left side of the bench. That's all I did.
I was Gore from the Kansas City Royals who just stole all the bags.
Okay. Well,
Or Billy Hamilton.
I was going to go deeper than that, like Vince Coleman. Give yourself some credit,
Or
man.
Kenny Lofton.
Kenny
we
Lofton,
got Kenny
yeah.
Lofton, Cleveland
Yeah.
Indians player.
Or the late Ricky Henderson. I mean, you look like a guy with long stride. You could make your way around the base paths in no time at all.
Yeah. Back in the day in high school, yes.
All right. Well, we've got our next coach ready to join us here. We've got Midview head coach Ryan Morgan joining us. Coach, thanks for the time as always. How are you?
Good. How are you guys today?
Well, we are
that's,
wonderful.
That's loud. Wow.
That's real loud.
That's wow.
Almost blew your eardrums out.
Yeah,
We
no
don't want
kidding. I
that.
wasn't expecting that.
Heck of a year for you guys. Season ago,
Yeah, it was
18-5, 12-2 in the SWC, which is always a meat grinder. What a phenomenal season. Guys made it all the way to the district semi. Who are some of your key contributors coming back from that team?
we have Caden Vogelpool. He was a first-team all-conference, all-county player for us last year. Staple in the outfield. We have Cam Scott. He got a lot of meaningful time when Spencer Mueller was pitching. Henry Calcutt, expecting a huge year out of him. He's probably going to end up being our ace for the year. Chase Harper got a lot of meaningful time over at third base. So we have quite a few guys that are coming back with some good varsity experience. So pretty excited for this year.
You won 13 games in a row last season, correct?
Yes, we did.
How were you able to have that streak just build over time with your players?
I'm a firm believer in superstitions, so I didn't wash my pants or my pullover.
Typical baseball coach.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Well, my wife made a pact with me that I'm not allowed to walk into the house with that. So that was it.
You have to
But
change
no,
in the garage or what?
I did, honestly, yeah.
Okay.
So, but no, and I mean, in all seriousness, that was a very special senior group last year. They had a mentality coming in. They played young, so it kind of, came to fruition when they were seniors. So, it was a grind. We started the year off. We opened up with Amherst. It was a tough game. We went down to Myrtle Beach. I think that really helped the team come together. And, we won that last game in Myrtle Beach, and then we just went on the streak. It was actually really special. So,
What did you learn going down into Myrtle Beach?
I think it was an eye-opener. These guys, they thought they were, big dogs and all this stuff. And, you got down there, and, you're playing teams from South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia that have been playing for, 3 weeks earlier than you. And, these teams are top-notch. And, you have guys that are committed to South Carolina, Clemson, SEC schools. It's a gauntlet, but I think that challenge kind of opened their eyes and said, wow, we have some work to do. And I think it benefited us more than people realize.
A trip down to South Carolina is always nice, but especially when you're playing in the conditions that you're used to playing in up here. that escape's good, not only to see that top-notch competition that you mentioned, but also to get the chance to just get outside and both play and practice. Talk about the timeline for you guys when you were down there.
Wait, say that again.
Talk
Sorry.
about that timeline. Were you guys able to practice and play quite a bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was gorgeous down there. I mean, it was 75, sunny every single day. You got practice times. You were playing almost every single day. Leading up to that, I mean, we live in Ohio where it's 70 one day and then it's 43 in flurries the next day. So, that was, we took that to our advantage, and being able to get a lot of that meaningful time while we were down there, I think it helped us when we returned to Ohio. So,
what are some of your early impressions after your scrimmage against Black River?
I was very impressed with our pitching staff. I mean, we graduated our top 3 arms last year with David Moore, Spencer Mueller, and Joey Melendez. So we have some guys that need to fill some pretty big shoes. So, I mean, going out there and throwing quality, innings, that was something really nice to see. So it's going to be a group effort this year, but I mean, I'm very excited to see what these younger guys can do and what they can do on the mound.
One of the things that stood out in our talk with you last year, you guys had like a 6'7" second baseman, right? In Elbert, right? He's your second baseman. You guys have any surprises like that this year?
Not Ethan Elbert size. Speaking of Ethan, he's doing a fantastic job though at Tri-C. I mean, yeah, we don't have any surprise 6'7" guys coming out this year, but I mean. Yeah, I got nothing for you there. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nothing, no surprises.
You ever seen a 6'7" second baseman before?
No, I've seen a first baseman, not a second baseman. That's pretty special.
Yeah, it was pretty special. But hey, he did a fantastic job for us in the infield. He got to throw a little bit, but he was coming off an injury, so we wanted to take it a little bit easy with him. But Ethan was a special kid too. And
you guys have had a lot of kids in your program go on to do some special things. I can't call him a kid, but you've also had guys to go on and do great things. Ryan Fearben, of course, you could argue one of the best players in the history of the county. Do you guys hear from him quite a bit? Does he show up to practices for you guys?
Yeah, so Ryan is actually actively involved in managerial positions at the professional level and stuff. His son is a freshman at the high school, so Ryan's always been a really good guy since I've taken over at Midview. He's always been willing to help. Whether it's working with our pitchers or just even giving our guys a pep talk of what it means to wear the Midview M. But Ryan is, you have Ryan and then you have Eric Lauer. I mean, both of them, it's insane to know that they both went to Midview. They graduated from Midview and they had pretty good professional careers. So, having that kind of helps motivate the guys, saying like, hey, this is something that we can achieve if we put our mind to it.
I was one of those guys lobbying for Lauer to get here, man. I really wanted him to come. But then he went to the Brewers. So it was a little bit of a disappointment because I thought sure he was coming here to deal. But neither here nor there. It's got to be great, though, for the kids to hear from guys like that, hear their experiences, to know that, not that long ago, those guys were in their shoes. I can only imagine the impact that makes for the kids when they get a chance to sit back and listen to guys like that.
Absolutely. It's super beneficial. They've been through the grind, Ryan was obviously drafted right out of high school. But then Eric going the college route, actually, putting in the time at Kent. So they get both sides of it, going straight to the pros and dealing with college. So they've been tremendous mentors for a lot of our guys. I know Spencer Mueller, being a lefty, really talked and really gravitated towards Ryan. So that's something that I think he's benefited from too.
And the cool thing about Fearben is not just his big league experience. Guy played in Taiwan
exactly.
Just a few years ago. Of course, he played for the Lake Erie Crushers. That's where he finished his career. So, just incredibly well-traveled, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's been all over the place. He definitely knows the game of baseball. But, yeah, he's been super, super awesome to, kind of get to know a little bit better. I know when I was growing up over in Elyria, you pick up a Chronicle telegram and it was Ryan Fearben. So he's real deal, super classy guy. I have nothing but respect for Ryan.
Are you guys taking a trip down south again this year?
So we are not taking a trip down south this year. Unfortunately, just didn't work out with scheduling stuff. So we're actually set to open up Friday against Firelands and Dan Ransom. So, we're excited to get going. Excited to get out of the gymnasium and actually play some competition. So.
That was going to be my question to you. We've been talking to the coaches all night, asking them if their teams have been able to get outside. Have you guys been able to get outside often?
Yeah, we have 2 scrimmages under our belt. We've been on the baseball field, a handful of times. It's a tough time, We don't have the luxury of having a turf field or anything like that where we can go out and get some reps, but we're fortunate that we can get out on the football turf field, stretch it out a little bit so guys can get some more dimension thrown from short to first. But I feel like we've been able to get outside a decent amount of time.
Last year you lost in the district semifinal to Avon. This year, is that penciled in on the schedule? Is that a game you really want to win?
Yeah, I mean, that game still haunts me. I mean, we had a very good lead. It was kind of like you're on a carousel, and the wheels fell off, and it just kept going and going. But yeah, I mean, it's something that the guys that are returning, they have in their mind, like they know that's how our season ended last year. I mean, the preseason rankings just came out for the Ohio High School Baseball Coaches Association, and Avon's they're ranked 8th in Division III. So Pat does a fantastic job with those guys over at Avon, and I mean, just the competition alone, yeah, they're excited for it.
It's a meat grinder, man. That SWC, there are no days off. Right?
There are no days off. Mondays and Tuesdays are not for the week, I can tell you that.
Yeah, there's no question. Well, you mentioned that you guys are kind of starting to get on that football turf, right?
Yep.
Get out there when you can't really get out there on the field. How do you think that translates? And have you seen some kids really kind of turn a corner in those practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you go from a gymnasium, you're getting candy hops and stuff. And I know on turf you still get candy hops here and there, but just being able to stretch it out. That's the biggest thing, that's kind of helping develop the arm strength for guys to make the throws across the field, guys hitting cutoffs, the little things that are going to be the difference between winning and losing a baseball game.
Candy hops. I love that, man. I'm going to steal that one if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Candy hops. I've never heard that before.
Absolutely.
That's really sweet, man. Love that. Love that. All right, well, best of luck to you guys
Absolutely.
this season.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you on and talk about not only the kids that you have this year, but all the wonderful alumnus throughout the year. I know many, many moons ago, the superintendent for Columbia was actually the head coach at Midview during Ryan Farabell's
Greg
run.
Bancek,
Yeah, Greg Bancek, yeah.
My first year, it was the COVID year. His son Connor was a senior, so unfortunately I didn't get a chance to coach him in an actual game. But it's a great family as well. I mean, there's tons of great families out in Grafton, so he's been a huge mentor for me too when I took over. So shout out to Greg too. He's an awesome guy.
Oh, Greg's fantastic. A wonderful, wonderful individual. I believe his son, he went to Hiram. Is that where he went?
Connor did go to Hiram,
Okay.
yeah. So he has since graduated, but he was a tremendous leader. That one still haunts me too, is just not getting the opportunity to coach that group. It was a very special group too.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully you've got a special group to work with this year. You guys have a chance to go deep into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Great stuff. Ryan Morgan, head coach of the Midview Middies, joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back with more here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Live on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. It's the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bullbarch. Having a great time out here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet. Come on down here and join us. We'll be here for probably at least another hour and a half or so, maybe a tad bit more than that. Continuing to talk to all the Lorain County baseball coaches to get set for the 2025 campaign. And we have Nick Ruiz, head coach of the Oberlin Phoenix. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Lots to talk about this year as the program just continues to grow. You know, we talked last year, you talked a lot about Julian Anderson and how much he had continued to grow for you guys, filled a lot of different spots for you. He was a pitcher, a position player. So what kinds of things are you expecting from him this year?
I mean, well, when we're looking at it, last year he batted .453. So
is that good?
Oh, just a little bit.
I think so.
So
just a tad.
Yeah, 100%. And so we're expecting a similar showing, if not better. Juju is a straight competitor. I mean, he's a dog, the definition of it. And so he knows that that's what he batted last year, and it's a goal for him to beat that. His actual goal is to bat 500. On the bump, though, we're still working on consistency over velocity and just building that confidence. Each rep he takes, he's feeling better and better, like he's king of the hill. So we're starting to really feel good with Juju, and we're expecting a really successful season yet again with him.
And I know you had talked a little bit a year ago about trying to get that shift in culture. You noticed a lot of things were changing when we talked in the preseason last year. How has that process progressed?
Oh, it's progressed phenomenally. So over my 2 years here, we've graduated about 3 seniors total. So it's been the same young core. And all they've done is not only develop themselves as baseball players, they've just developed themselves as leaders and setting the tone for this culture. This year, they actually had a players meeting where they set the vision for the program for when they leave, with what they want it to look like. They set a mission for this season, as well as their core values. And so that is something that's really powerful to me. But to see them actually enact that and lead our young freshmen and sophomores throughout practices is the most rewarding thing. To see them be the ones to try and coach up other individuals, to take a second, hey coach, can I talk to so-and-so about how I would go about this? That's the powerful thing, because we're seeing the culture come to life and we're seeing it change and trickle into our different athletics in Oberlin.
That's amazing that your players are taking that initiative, that action.
Yes, sir.
What are some areas of improvement that you want to have this season, and some goals within that culture that you want to achieve?
So we want to play clean. We want to play clean. We feel if we play clean, we can go up against anybody and play them solidly and compete. And so, that's our big goal. Minimizing errors is our biggest thing, and that's what we're hitting on the most at practices. Additionally, just like watching all of our individual student athletes come into their leadership roles, that's a big goal of ours. Our guys who may not feel they have a voice yet, watching them learn that, hone that, and then hold each other accountable. Accountability is a big thing that we're looking at this season.
You mentioned that players-only meeting, right? And everything was put together with the goals in mind for what they want that program to look like when they leave. How much of that can you share with us? What do they want this program to look like when they leave?
I mean, what I can say is a competitive program that is not only focused on baseball, focused on not about the mistakes we make as individuals, but focused on what we're going to do after those mistakes. Holding one another accountable and succeeding not only on the field, but in the classroom and in life. Those are the things that I'm willing to share here.
You mentioned it a little bit before we got back on the air. You have a lot of multi-sport athletes. How does that affect your team?
Oh, man. It's competitive drive. Our practices are, we like to call them high intensity. You have so many football players who are used to getting out there for practice and hitting one another and trying to push each other to be better. We're bringing that into our baseball practices, where everybody is trying to push one another to be better. There's no person that just is like, oh no, I'm big dog. It's not like that in our program. Instead, it's everybody trying to pick everybody up to elevate the team as a whole.
Which young guys do you expect to make a pretty big impact for you guys this season?
Chris Hamner, for sure. He's going to be our catcher this season. He's made a lot of really big gains behind the dish, just with his blocking. His arm has gotten stronger. But additionally with that, his hitting has also really improved. He's always had our best eye in our program, but now we're starting to translate that into base hits and into our elevating our batting average. Additionally, another young guy that we're looking to have another successful season is Liam Stagel. We had him as our PO last year as a freshman, and he was our most consistent with command over the ball. This year, we still have that, but now we're starting to up our velo a little bit, so we're expecting some big things out of him this season for our underclassmen.
What kind of velo is he sitting at right now?
I would say we're sitting in mid-60s around there.
Okay. Well,
Starting to build it up.
Sure, but for a young kid, there's so much more room to grow.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so we feel really, really good about that because his form is spectacular, and it's just you're just going to get older, you're going to keep getting the reps in, and it's just going to go up.
You mentioned a little bit before we went on air as well. You have a young group. You have a good core. Who do you expect in that core to lead your pitching staff this season?
So I am definitely expecting that of Drew Walter. He's a junior. He's been starting varsity for us since he was a freshman, and we're expecting him to be our big guy on the mound for our big games. This season, this offseason, he's felt a lot better with his command and feels totally good with that. And now we're just getting more movement on that on those off-speed pitches, and so we're really, really starting to see that. In our scrimmage last week, he threw about 15 or 20 more strikes than balls and is feeling really, really good about how he is going to perform this year on the bump. Additionally, we're expecting another big year out of Reed Emmerich. He had about a 4 ERA last year. He's our off-speed type of guy. His curveball is disgusting. And so we're just starting to build his velo up a little bit and have him build that presence of command and just feeling comfortable on the bump. So two guys that we're really, really expecting big things, and then obviously Juju.
Yeah.
Geez, you're kind of like the jack of all trades for you guys, right?
Yeah, he is. He is. If he's the guy that he is going to ask me to play every position on the field, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do all that. But if I let Juju, he'd be in the center field, he'd be at shortstop, third base, catch, and pitch all at the same inning.
He could play all 9 in the same game for you, could he not? He's got that kind of versatility.
Yeah, but don't tell Drew that because Drew can too. Drew can too.
He'd be like, who was it? Andrew Romine, I think, for the Tigers.
He played all 9, yeah.
Played all 9. He could become the next Andrew Romine.
Hey, a big thing that we tell our guys is it's all about versatility. Anything that you can get onto the field in some type of position, that's what we want to see. So we're not going to just say Juju Drew. We're going to say this program. That's what we're thinking.
So last year we got into this discussion that you teach at the middle school.
Yes,
that's
sir.
where you guys practice still, correct? Or do you guys practice at the high school now?
We practice at the high school.
Okay, but last year you guys had some practices at the middle school, correct?
Yes.
And all those middle schoolers wanted to come out and see practice, and you mentioned that those became pretty intense and pretty fun practices too, right?
No, 100%. And so it's something we've translated into this season. During the off season, we would do just kind of workouts with that would involve our middle school athletes as well as our high school athletes. And the way that I explained it to our middle school athletes is you're just going to assimilate in. High schoolers are going to kind of tell you some of the things that they're doing, what they work on, what our culture is, and our expectations. Hop in, take it in, and just use this as a learning lesson. And so we did that this off season. We're also planning some youth nights and community nights for this season. So we're really, really excited about our youth program just starting to build up. And every year when we get these 6th graders into the middle school, it just seems like it's more kids who are like, no, I'm playing baseball for you in 3 years.
What does that mean for you to get your youth and middle school baseball players involved so early with the high school program, getting the whole community involved with the high school program?
It means everything to me. As we all know, you don't just change any type of sports program overnight. And so when you're able to get them involved and get them excited to want to be there and also see from the guys who have kind of been through the struggle of it, their freshman year and things like that, to see what they've gone through to where they are now, that's what's really powerful. And so our young student athletes are just benefiting, and it's powerful to me, man.
Is there any theme nights you're looking forward to this season that you can share with us?
Yeah, there is one I'm really looking forward to. We're going to be doing a throwback night. So we are going to be back at behind our high school on our field for the first time since pre-COVID, I think it was. Wow. And so it's 1 year only, because they're going to build a new middle school on top of it. But our new AD went through, found some throwback unis, and so we're hoping to sport those for a throwback night this season.
That'll be a blast from the past for sure.
Amen.
Yeah, dust them off. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, and they're sleeveless, so the boys are like, can we just not wear undershirts? And I'm like,
if it's 40 degrees, I don't think they're going to do that.
You really want to bet? You really want to bet?
If they want to freeze, be my guest.
That's what I tell them.
I'm wearing a shirt, man.
That's a gamble. That's a big gamble.
We're not Yasiel Puig. We can't do that all the time.
Hey, we're gonna wait. We're saving that one for warmer weather because I know how they are.
Right.
And I think this all kind of ties in together, too. But it's so cool that you guys do that with the middle schoolers. But I think it also speaks to the impact that you're starting to see. You know, so many kids, for some reason or another, they told us for years, baseball's not growing. It's not becoming the sport that it once was. Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to see a change because of things like this. All of a sudden, these 6th, 7th graders and 5th graders are saying, wait a minute, this is kind of cool. The varsity guys are practicing. They're interacting with us. And I know part of our discussion last year surrounded changing things up in the community a little bit, getting that youth program to get a bit of a boost so that way when you get these kids as 9th graders, it's not their first taste of baseball or their first taste of baseball in 10 years. Can you talk about how you've sort of seen some of the changes in that regard and how that's kind of boosted things for you?
Yeah, well, so actually I want to highlight again Chris Hamner. So he's a sophomore this season. My first season, we kind of brought him along as our stats guy. And you know, you're coming to practices and stuff like that. You're jumping in and you're seeing what it's about. And so, you know, to see him that freshman year come out to tryouts, he wasn't this timid little freshman back there just going through the motions and things like that. No, he's leading. He's telling guys what they should be doing. He's picking them up. And, like, that's what we're starting to see. And so when we're seeing this with our now freshmen as well, like it is a program of leaders, and that's what we're looking for. Program of leaders who know the expectations, they know the goals, and they're already prepared the moment they get in there to put in the work and to keep pushing this this program forward, and that's all we're trying to do.
You mentioned you've played a scrimmage already. When does the season officially get going for you guys?
We're starting Friday at home against Danbury.
Wow, Friday. All
yes,
right.
sir.
Well, hopefully the forecast kind of holds.
It don't look good yet, but we're gonna have fingers crossed. And you know what? Even though the field hasn't had action in a while, she drains pretty good, so we're really hopeful.
Okay. Well, they say 60s over the weekend. Maybe we'll get that storm coming through early, and then you guys will get the benefits of a Friday 60-degree day, and we'll rock and roll.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Awesome. Coach Ruiz, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Nick Ruiz, head coach of the Oberlin Phoenix, joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria for the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. We'll take a timeout and come back with more after this on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back to the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you follow us along because you can always come back and watch this live and free on YouTube. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bolbarch. We've got Max Drummond working the camera. El Capitan is Edwin Vereen. He is our director. Dave Rivera is here as well. We've got most of the gang out here having a great time getting ready for the spring sports season to fire up. We've got the Lorain County Coaches Show here. And we're talking baseball, and we're going to talk baseball with Angelo Cruz, assistant coach with the Clearview Clippers. Coach, thanks for joining us here. And before you jumped on, we were talking about that awesome facility of yours. You guys had the turf out there. Despite the gale force winds we were all experiencing earlier today, making it feel like it was in the 20s, you and the boys were out there practicing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was telling you guys, I told my guys at the beginning of the season, if it's above 40 degrees or We feel like we can go outside. We can go outside. Actually, today we were planning on practicing inside, and when I got to practice, 3 or 4 of the guys were like, "We want to go outside." So I was like, "All right, let's gear up and let's go." So we went out, took some fly balls, took some ground balls, did some defensive stuff, got some bullpen works in.
Very nice. Well, there's a lot of work to be done. Well, how great was Sean Metler last year? One of the leaders in strikeouts in the county. What makes him so good?
I can't talk more highly about the kid. His work ethic is unbelievable. We have to literally drag him off the mound sometimes because he just doesn't want to come out of the game. I tell the story all the time. His freshman year, we're playing out in Black River, which is about a 50-minute drive from us. He pitches in the game. We drive 50 minutes back, and he gets off the bus, and he's playing catch. And I literally had to yell at him to stop. Like, he just wants to he wants to throw the ball all
Got
the
a
time.
rubber arm.
Yeah, and he had a really good opportunity to go south and play some baseball this past summer, and he's just gotten better every time I've seen him. He's gotten bigger every time I've seen him, and he's just a workhorse. I wish I had more kids like him, to be honest, but he's definitely one of the motivators for the team. As a junior, he's one of our captains, and he definitely leads by example. So having him is definitely a big benefit for us.
Who else is going to lead the squad for you this season for the Clippers?
Yeah, so we have we picked 4 captains this year. 2 seniors, Gavin Alvarado and Xavier Rivera. Gavin plays third for us in pitches, and Xavier he plays center field for us, and he'll pitch a little bit this year, in just some relief innings. And then we have 2 juniors, Metler being one of them, and then Jameer Sims. He plays shortstop for us, and he'll pitch as well.
Sims was a name that came up in our conversation with Coach Quinones last year, and I know it takes time to get used to calling a turf surface your home field, and Coach talked about that a little last year, saying, look, it took us a couple of weeks to kind of get used to that. I would imagine as a shortstop, when you start to get some of those real nice hops coming off the turf, it doesn't take you long to get used to it. What's he look like defensively for you guys early on in practice?
He looks great. He also went south and got to play down in Florida for the summer, got some really good experience, got to work with some of the coaches down there who coach at the pro level. And he's taken his game to the next level as well. He went down there and got player of the week 1 week, hit great over the last year for us as a sophomore. He was put into a weird situation last year because we had some injuries, and he had to actually catch for us last year, and he never had done that. And he overcame that and actually became a pretty good catcher for us. But now that we have our catchers back, he'll be in his normal role as a middle infielder for us, and we're looking for a big season from him.
You feel like that gives you guys at least a little bit of an advantage playing on that surface, knowing that, well, there sure aren't many teams in the conference that get a chance to play on that consistently, and there aren't many teams in the area, period, that get a chance to routinely play on turf. So how do you guys use that to your advantage?
Well, just like I said, us being able to go outside as early as we have. We were outside for our first day of practice, and not every team gets that opportunity because their fields aren't ready or their fields are wet. So having that turf, we've been outside more than we've been inside, and that's rare for being in Ohio. And as far as an advantage from my perspective, I think we have like 26 or 27 games this year. 19 of them will be played at our field.
Wow.
So we'll be home a lot, which is really nice because 2 years ago we didn't have a field, and we had to play every game away, which is very draining for our kids. But being able to just, be at your home field, have your home crowd, you know how that is. Just home field advantage is huge for anyone.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Guys taking the new field to advantage.
Yeah.
Well,
Have to.
and I know, too, it's one thing for us to sit here as adults and tell the kids they've got to try and buy into that and stick with this process as long as possible. It's another thing for a high school kid to buy into that, knowing that you're not going to have a home game for at least a season, maybe a couple. And if you hang in there long enough, you'll reap the benefits because you're not just playing at home again. You're playing on this really awesome field. I'm not sure if you've had the chance to go out there and see it.
I got to see it.
It is fantastic.
Yeah,
the softball field, the baseball field, the football field, all turf now. And, I know it feels like for you guys maybe it took a little while to get going, but to me it seemed like it happened like overnight.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's changed everything for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the fact that we have the ability to play there. There was a few times last year where the weather wasn't the greatest, and we were still able to play that day because we were able to just bring the team to us. So we would just flip our schedule around. I think it happened with Columbia once where we were supposed to play at their place. Rain happened. Field was wet for them. They came to us, and then we just went to them for the second game. So it kind of keeps us on track for our schedule as well. We don't have to make up as many games at the end of the season, which is nice, and we can prepare for the tournament.
With the new field and the preparation you guys have done so far this season, have you guys play any scrimmages? What have you learned from those scrimmages?
Yeah, we had one scrimmage so far against Elyria High. Little rough start, but we ended the scrimmage pretty strong. Put up a couple runs at the end. My guys didn't give up, which was really nice to see. But we have some new faces in the program, and we're just trying to see how they mesh well together. But with our 4 captains, they've really stepped up with the younger guys and taken them under their wings. So it's nice to see as a coach. But just early season struggles, guys with jitters, first scrimmage of the year. We have inter-squad a couple of times since then, and the guys are looking a lot more comfortable in their positions. We had to move a couple guys around, but outside of that, we're excited. We're excited.
Who are some of those new guys that you expect to make a splash?
So we got a sophomore, Brayson Jackson. He actually played last year as a freshman. He played second base for us, but he will start second for us again. But he'll be in our pitching rotation a lot more this year. I think he had maybe a couple of spot starts last year, but we're looking for him to be one of our main arms and maybe top 3 of the rotation. He actually pitched in that Elyria High scrimmage and looked very well. And then we have a freshman. His name is Thomas Torres. Will be another guy, in the rotation, chew up a couple of innings when we need to. He'll play a little bit of first base for us, and he's really impressed me with his bat. So hoping to add some power into our lineup with him as well.
How many players do you have on the squad this season?
We have 14. So, we had a little bit of a lower number for our tryouts, which is a little bit disappointing. But, the 14 that we have right now, we're happy with. They all show up. They all want to work. So, that's all I ask for. I'll take 9 guys if they want to show up and work. That's all I need. But, to have 14, they show up. They do what they have to do. They're very coachable. So we're just really excited about, the vibe the team has this year.
Have you noticed a shift in interest and growth in the program too, since this new facility's kind of been exposed a little bit more?
Yeah, so, they're trying to reboot the Lorain youth program in the area. And the more that grows, the more we'll grow. We're going to have some kids from our school district playing in that, at the younger, 7th, 8th grade levels. And that's huge for a community. Having that youth program is very vital to developing kids before they get to high school. That way when they do get to high school, they have some type of knowledge of the game. And that's one thing, that we've struggled with is having this smaller amount of numbers. 2 years ago, Lorain didn't even have a community youth program. And that, took a big hit. I know my first year coaching, I think we had in the 30s for tryouts, and, they didn't have that youth program. And next thing you know, we're in the low 20s for tryouts. So bringing that back is going to be a big key for us, not only us, but also Lorain High, because that's, a conjunction of all those kids will be going to that program. But, yeah, so the low numbers, it doesn't help, but the team that we have now, they're starting to mesh really well. They're starting to get along very well. They're starting to work together very well. So, our first game coming up will be Friday, so as long as the weather cooperates, and we're going to be hoping to play. So,
Are you guys home Friday? Who are you guys facing Friday?
Yeah, we're home against John Hay. Yeah, it's nice. Our first 9 games are at home. So
first 9, how about that, man?
Yeah.
First 9 games.
It's like a homestand in the MLB.
It's really nice. It's really nice. I cannot complain about that.
Last year, Coach Canonis had talked about one of your guys being involved in the ACES program at T3.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys still involved with that program?
So that was actually Sean Mettler.
That was? Okay, all right.
And I believe Jameer Sims was doing it as well. And like I said, those 2 guys have probably shown the most progress from last year to now. They took advantage of it, and they stuck to it. It's a very good program. I wish more kids would get involved with it because it's a benefit that they don't know is out there. But it's proven to work because, like I said, Sean progressed a lot. Jameer progressed a lot. Whether it was pitching, hitting, fielding. T3 is a great program. I got a good buddy over there. His name's Cody Bledsoe. He's an instructor there, and just the quality of coaches they have there and the experience they have there is just unbelievable. And to have it right in your backyard in Avon, Ohio, that's a benefit that a lot of people don't take advantage of. So I'm happy that my guys were able to take advantage of that.
And it's a wonderful facility, too.
Yeah. With some of your players going to T3, have you noticed, especially for pitching, more velocity, a different arm angle, speed? What have you seen from the T3 program that has benefited them the most?
Yeah, so I won't give away too many of my secrets, but you know, like going back to Sean, you know, he has a whole different pregame routine that he didn't even do before, that he learned through them, and it's added velocity to his, you know, fastball. It's added some spin to his sweeper. You know, he's added 2 more pitches that he didn't throw last year that we've been working on. They look all great. You know, so you know, I definitely appreciate T3 for working with them.
Well, best of luck to you guys on Friday. Hopefully you get all 9 in on that homestand to start the season. Pleasure to talk to you, Coach. Best of luck to you guys this season.
Yeah, pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Angelo Cruz with the Clearview Clippers joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. We've got the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. We'll have a lot of fun here for the next hour, hour and a half or so as we continue to talk to the coaches in the area to talk about the upcoming season. Coach Cruz mentioned they open up on Friday. I mean, the chances are still pretty good they might get that game in, man. I'm telling you,
they will.
Yeah, turf makes a world of difference. It's amazing just how big of a difference that can make. You have a chance, right? There's at least a shot that you can play that game.
Cross your fingers, hope for everything.
All right, well, we've got Coach Matt Rossitano with the Amherst Comets joining us now. Coach, great to see you. How are you? Got to get his music good? All right. Now we got you, Coach. All right, well, let's get down to it, man. There's always so many interesting things to talk to you about because I think you guys are a unique program. You guys do things differently. You have a lot of success from one year to the next. The expectation for you guys, as you told us a year ago, is to win at least 20 games. Last year, you guys had a decent year, fell to North Royalton in the sectional title game. But look, North Royalton had a pretty darn good year.
Yeah.
It's a really tough team to take down. They're one of the top 5 teams in the state. They were terrific. So what can you tell us about the guys coming back from that team?
We basically have everybody back. We only had 4 seniors last year, and they were great seniors, great leaders, but most of our talent was the younger guys. So, I mean, we're returning 6 position player starters and our entire pitching staff from last year. We did not have a single senior pitcher. So we're really excited about where we're at right now and where we can be by the end of the year.
15 wins a year ago. You guys really hovered around that 500 hump. You were above 500 in conference play, and as we've talked about a couple of times already with a couple of other coaches, that conference is a beat grinder. You get no days off once you get into the SWC. How do you think that makes you guys better one game to the next?
Well, because you can't take a day off. You know, you get into the conference play, especially when we go back-to-back. So you're seeing every team's number 1 and then number 2 every week. And then, you know, the non-conference schedule that I put together, we're basically going to see number 1 and number 2 pitchers for 27 straight games going into the tournament. So, you know, that's one of the things we harp on with our guys is, like, you're not going to see, you know, an off day from an opposing pitcher. Like, you're going to see everybody's best. And if you want to be good, you have to be good. You have to be locked in every out, every pitch, every inning. And, you know, I think we have the guys that can do that this year.
Let's talk about that pitching staff. A couple of years ago, sub-1 ERA for that staff, and you felt really good about that group going into last year. How do you feel about that group going into this season?
Yeah, like I said, we are returning all 8 pitchers from our staff last year, and we're including a couple guys coming up from JV. So I think we can go 10 deep in the pitching staff, and I feel completely comfortable with any of those 10 on the mound in any given situation. Our top 3 starters, actually our top 4, the 4 guys that are going to start the games. You know, Cale Charles, who ended up being our number 1 by the end of the year last year as a freshman. He's been up to 92 on the mound as a sophomore right now.
Jeez.
His brother Cole, twin brother Cole, he's been up to 89 on the mound. Harrison Snyder's been up to 91 on the mound. Then you got the big guy, Dylan Coughlin, 6'9", 270. He's been up to 86 on the mound. You know, I really like where we're at with our starters. And then you got a bunch of crafty guys that are going to come in and keep guys off balance. Didn't strike out a whole lot of guys last year, but I think going from that, you know, seeing that velocity at the beginning of the game with the starters and then bringing in the guys that have the really good off-speed stuff, I think their strikeout numbers will go up just because of the difference of, you know, the different types of pitches that we can throw at people this year. So, you know, I'm really excited about our pitching staff, and, you know, if we can score them some runs, we're going to be really successful.
How big of an advantage is that for you to have so much pitching depth this season?
I think any time that you're comfortable going 10 deep, you know, I think it's a huge advantage because, you know, if with the pitch count rules, you know, if a guy goes over a certain amount of pitch count, like even a guy in relief, you know, if he throws 30 or 50 pitches and can't pitch for a couple days, I feel completely comfortable bringing in somebody else because, I don't have to rely on one or two guys out of the bullpen every day. I can go 6 deep in the bullpen, and they're going to be just as effective.
You had 2 games against Massillon, Jackson, and Columbia, 2 scrimmages. What did you take away from those 2 scrimmages?
Columbia, Columbia loved Dan Durante. Columbia was a great first scrimmage, knock a little bit of the rust off. And then we brought in Massillon Jackson on Friday. That's a preseason number 3 team in the state for Division I. They threw their 2 studs at us. We saw 6 innings of a kid going to Marshall and a kid going to Ohio State.
Jeez.
After 6 innings, it was 4-4. I mean, we stuck right there with them. We actually out-hit them for the game. I told the guys going into the game I wanted to see how our pitchers did against their really good lineup and how our lineup did against their really good pitchers. And I was completely encouraged by what we saw against Massillon Jackson on Friday, and I think that was a great step forward.
You saw a highly state-ranked opponent in Massillon Jackson. Your team is currently ranked 11th in Division II. What does that ranking mean to you?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's preseason, so, it's all window dressing and, stuff like that. I'm curious. Like I said, I loaded up our schedule this year. We play, we open up with Rocky River on Saturday. Love Ed Piazza. They were ranked number 1 in the state for Division II for a few weeks last year, so they're going to come in and be really good. We play Akron-Hoban, St. Ignatius, Brunswick, Toledo St. Francis, Parma-Pato, who's in the Final Four last year. Like, there's not going to be a whole lot of days where it's going to be like, oh, we can take a breath and relax. Like, I think we're going to be really good. I think we have a chance to be special, and we're going to find out because we play a really tough schedule. But I thought that Massillon Jackson scrimmage was really encouraging.
You mentioned the schedule, all the teams you're facing. Is there somewhere you're looking to go play that you're looking forward to, that going on the road, that'll be a big test for your team?
Actually, most of those teams that we play at home this year.
Really?
Yeah, just how the schedule worked out. Like last year, we were, I think it ended up getting rained out, but I think we were supposed to play at Ignatius last year. We played at Hoban last year. We played at Brunswick last year, at Toledo St. Francis last year. So all those games are at home this year. So it's a really good home schedule. So, fans want to come out, they're going to see some good baseball.
You ever seen Dylan Coughlin before? He's not lying. 6'9", 270. That's not like an NBA exaggeration. He's legit 6'9", 270.
Yes.
That kid's huge. Last year, you referred to him as the foul pole, right, when he was in
Yes.
right field?
Yeah.
He somehow was just kind of gallivanting his way over
Right.
to center field to make the catch.
Yeah.
Is he still playing the outfield for you guys?
No, he'll be our 4th starter. I may use him in relief if we need him. He'll play some first base, but primarily he'll be our starting designated hitter.
All right, well, you talked about the bats a little bit earlier, facing some top-notch competition in those scrimmages. And, how they look so far, and how confident are you that those bats can get things turned around and trending upward?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing that I was encouraged by the Massillon Jackson scrimmage was we are a lefty-heavy lineup. Like our regular starting 9 is 7 lefties. I have 10 lefties that I could bat in the lineup, and I really want to do a full lefty lineup this year at some point just to see the other coaches' expression. Like, well, there's a lefty, 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 and then you get to like 7, 8, 9, and it's all 9 lefties. So we started 7 lefties against Massillon Jackson, and their top 2 were lefties, and we fared pretty well against them. So, Caleb Melendez, who's going to Adrian College next year, he was 3 for 4 with a double and a home run. Dylan Coughlin, a lefty bat, he had 2 hits. We put together really good at bats. So, just seeing our lefties do well against top-notch left-handed pitchers, very encouraging.
There's this notion, you see it a lot in the MLB, if it's a right-handed bat, I'm bringing in a righty. Left-handed bat, I'm bringing in a lefty. Does that ever go through your mind in your lineup?
At this level, not really. I'm sure at some point, because we'll have some right-handed bats on the bench, where in a certain situation we maybe feel more comfortable with a righty going against a lefty or those kind of matchup things. At the major league level, everything's so specialized. So, those lefties are meant to get out lefties, and there's righties that are meant to hit lefties, and, and vice versa. At the high school level, it's just, here's our best against your best, and let's see the result. And, hopefully our best is a little bit better.
All that left-handed hitting, man, right? Ready to rip up some right-handed pitching. I mean, the Guardians could use some of that, right?
Sure.
That's expected to be their weakness going into the year, facing right-handed pitching.
Right.
They could borrow some of your talent, man.
Maybe after the season.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, you don't want to give that away just yet. The Halloween game is something we always talk about with you because it's so special. It really is a lot of fun. What were some of the highlights from this year's Halloween game for you guys?
Oh, man. Honestly, because I really don't coach it. I put the seniors in charge, and I just kind of stand there and walk around and just observe. The kids get into it. Like we give out top 8 I give king size candy bars for like the coaches vote on like the top 8 costumes, and the kids usually get into it. And the big thing I tell them, I was like, if you just go out there and kind of screw around and not take it seriously, it's not going to be as fun, and it's not going to be as funny.
Yeah.
So, you go out there, and, the pitchers are told to just throw batting practice fastballs. I want the ball put in play. So you get the kids in costumes running around and making plays and all that good stuff. And it's just a fun time. We play Halloween music throughout the game. We do a raffle and all that good stuff. And luckily we've been had good weather for it the last few years, too.
And that's kind of the culmination of your fall practices,
Yes.
right? So from that Halloween game to your very first practice this spring, who are some of the guys you really kind of felt like grew the most in that 3 or 4 month period?
We have 10 seniors, and they're going to be great senior leaders. But I think the most that we saw were the juniors, guys like Tyler Den and Landon Wolf and Cole Marquez, who were just in the weight room, constantly and working to get better. A kid like Brody Glick, who's one of those pitchers that are coming up from JV, who didn't throw real hard last year, and this year he's up to like 84, 85, 86. Guys like that who you like to see that they show up every day in the off-season stuff, the open hittings, the open bullpens, the weightliftings, and you see them working, and then hopefully, it comes to fruition during the season.
We've talked a lot about the velo for a lot of these guys. Who are some guys that have some really nice secondary pitches that come to mind that really are at the top of the list for you?
Sure. Anthony Hakinen, who was probably our most effective pitcher last year, doesn't throw very hard. He started the year as number 1, and then as the season went on and Kale kind of, threw harder, struck more guys out, our defense wasn't great last year. So we kind of made that switch and had Anthony come out of the bullpen toward the end of the year, and his strikeouts went up. So I think having him come out of the bullpen is going to be real effective because, he will keep guys off balance, those really good off-speed stuff. A guy like Cam Rios, who should have pitched more last year because he was really good in high-leverage situations. We just didn't play a whole lot of games that had high-leverage situations. I see him getting a lot more innings. He, again, doesn't throw very hard, but will keep guys off balance, has great off-speed stuff. And like I just mentioned, Brody Glick, and then you throw in guys like Logan Banias, Alex Lackner, and then even a sophomore who's going to play some outfield, probably will pitch mostly JV if he gets innings this year. But a guy we're looking forward to in the future is Nick Wilkinson. He's looked good, too.
So much to look forward to in that program, and I think what's fun about talking to you every year is you mentioned, and I think we talked about this at the very beginning of the interview, 20 wins is the expectation every year. And I remember, I want to say it was 5 or 6 years ago, the last game I called for you guys, it was the loss against St. Ignatius.
Yeah.
And you guys were just a hair away from pulling off what would have been a pretty big upset.
Right.
I think it was a district title game or a regional semi.
It was a regional semi.
And that was over at Tri-C.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving that game thinking, my God, that was almost like David slaying Goliath, all things considered. And I remember leaving, and there were a lot of Amherst fans saying, we'll be back next year.
Sure.
Because that's just kind of become the expectation for this program.
Yeah, no, I reference that St. Ignatius game a lot, just for the fact that throughout the course of the year, we were very average. We were like hovering around 500. And it got to the point where I had a few sophomores that were playing JV that were just ripping it up. And I ended up actually benching 3 senior captains who weren't performing up to our expectations, brought those 3 sophomores up from JV. We go on to win 9 of 10. St. Ignatius ended up winning the state championship that year. We lost 1-0 in a regional semi in front of 1,500 people and had the tying run on third with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. So it just comes to say, like, the best players are going to play, the best pitchers are going to pitch, and, when you get into that one-game scenario, anything can happen.
Pretty awesome, isn't it? I mean, in that scenario, you talked about 1,500 people going to that regional semi. It says a lot about that community because if you remember, it rained like crazy that day.
Yes.
I didn't think we were going to play that game.
No, yeah.
I remember sitting in that press box.
We sat on the bus for a while wondering if we were going to play.
I couldn't believe that facility ended up being like ready to play.
Yeah.
But it says a lot about that community, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. We get, for our home games, we usually get a couple hundred people for every home game. Even our scrimmage against Massillon Jackson, there was probably 100, 150 people there for a scrimmage. We get great community support. Our families are fantastic. Throughout freshmen to seniors, we have great families. There's a lot of interest in the community and the student body. And like I said, a typical home game for us, we'll get 200, 300 people, watching a regular season game. And then, you get into those tournament game situations and, the interest goes up, the attendance goes up.
For someone who lives in the Amherst community, if they don't know anything about your baseball team, how do you spread awareness to get them involved into your community? What's your strategy to get them involved?
We do the social media thing. We do the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter accounts that, the baseball team has stuff like that. And then, it's a lot of word of mouth. We run a summer camp for the youth. I think we're going to work out something next year to do a winter camp at T3, along with, coordination with Ryan Rua, who's an Amherst alum and works over at T3. So I think getting the youth baseball players involved early is a big thing. And then, the parents bring their kids to the game and they see we put on a production. Like, we use our home games kind of like Major League does. We do, the pregame introductions, national anthem, every player has walk-up music, mound music, music in between innings. We put on a show, and it's not just the extracurriculars. We're going to play hard, and hopefully we play well.
It's fortunate that you have that, because some programs don't have that luxury.
Right. Yeah, you go to some away games, and it's just quiet.
And it feels weird, right?
It's just quiet, and that's why my dad always liked playing away games as an assistant coach, because the game's over, you get on the bus, you go home. Home game, you have to work on the field, and there's all the other stuff that goes on with it. I like playing the home games because it's a great atmosphere, and sure, you have to stick around a little bit longer to to take care of the field and everything, but just the atmosphere and the music and the crowds that we get, it's just a lot of fun.
It is, man. If you haven't seen the Amherst social media game, it is strong. And they've got these graphics laid out for these kids with their walkout songs out there, too. It is really, really awesome. You mentioned Rua before. I think that's another element of this program that really stands out. Not just Rua, but Evan Shawver, too.
Sure.
You've had guys that have gone on to get more than just a cup of coffee in pro baseball. Is Shawver, last year you were hoping he was going to get a chance to play in the Eastern League. Did he ever get that chance?
He pitched the whole year last year. I don't know what the league's called, but he was with AA.
Eastern League. Yep.
He was with Hartford, AA. The one trip that they actually came to play Akron, we went to see him, and he was on the injured list. But he was here, so we got to talk to him a little bit. I actually just talked to him this morning because in spring training this year, he got some major league innings. Had a couple rough outings, had a couple really good outings. He was getting innings with the AAA. He didn't know if he was going to go start in AA or AAA, and then he's going to start back in AA this year. He said mostly because you get those veteran guys on those AAA contracts, the 40-man roster.
Yeah.
But
politics.
Yeah.
Lots of it.
No, but he had a really good spring. So he's going to start in AA this year, and hopefully he gets at least a shot in AAA, and maybe we'll see him in the bigs this year.
You mentioned last year that he comes back in the wintertime. Sometimes he gets the chance to talk to some of the kids in the program currently. Did he have a chance to do that this past winter?
Yes, actually, once he got throwing a little bit, he actually came into one of our open hittings and threw live against, I think, 6 of our hitters.
Wow.
Stepped in the cage against them. We were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts.
Shocker.
Right.
Nothing against the kids.
No,
I'm just saying.
No, and I got a couple of them on video, and you can see. And he really wasn't throwing, because right now, he's at 96, 97 when he ramps it up, and he was throwing 92, 93 casually. And then he would break off a slider, and the kids had no chance. And
swinging out of their shoes.
This is a professional pitcher. A couple of kids fouled a couple pitches off, and they were happy, so that was good.
Several foul tips, man. I'd be doing backflips and cartwheels if I tipped one off a shot.
It's like bench warmers. I tipped it.
That's right. Good stuff. Coach Rossitano, always
Absolutely.
a pleasure, man. Great to have you on.
Thank
As always,
you.
best of luck this year.
Appreciate it.
Amherst head coach Matt Rossitano joining us here on the Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show, getting ready for the 2025 season opener for a lot of these teams. It happens a little bit later on this week. We're at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet. Come on down here and join us. We are live on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe and that like button and follow us as well. Talking baseball today here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. It's the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. And next up, we've got Elyria head coach Jordan Connell. Coach, thanks for joining us here. Lots to talk about. And, I mean, last year, your third year at the helm. Hard to believe it's been that long already for you guys. But let's talk about the growth of this program since you took over a couple of years ago. What are some things that have been going well for you guys in the early stages of practice this season?
I think the energy is very, very high. I have very, very good leadership this year. I mean, they're high school kids. They're all going to mess around. But I think the overall leadership is very, very good. The seniors kind of take charge when it comes to discipline. They come in the wrong stuff. Seniors, it's on you. So I think just overall I wanted this to be a player-led team because obviously you guys know a player-led team is always going to be better than a coach always getting on you. So I think we're working towards that, and eventually we're going to get to that.
After last year's loss in the playoffs against North Royalton, which we've got to mention, you guys actually had the lead in that game against a really good team. That's a phenomenal team North Royalton had a year ago. You guys were ahead in that game. But after the game, you mentioned that Isaac Ramos is what you want the program to look like. What kind of an example do you think he set for some of the guys that are on the roster this year?
He just works hard. He doesn't complain about anything. Anything that we asked him to do, he would do. He was the first in, the last out. He's just, like I said, he's someone that we want this program to look like. He's a team player, but he's about himself at the same time. So, I mean, you just can't replace an Isaac Ramos.
You mentioned some of the players that are going to lead your squad this season. Who are you relying on? Who do you expect to lead your team this season?
I think one of the obvious choices is Isaac's backup is J.J. Bucky. I mean, when you're behind Isaac for 2 years, you learn a lot. And, I mean, I always say this, if it wasn't for Isaac, J.J. would have played last year. But I'm looking for J.J. to come in and take that next step, and hopefully he can become somewhat of what Isaac was, but in his own way, and from a leadership standpoint and a work standpoint. Catchers have to be workhorses, and he's definitely a workhorse, but we're just trying to get him to be more consistent with it.
I mean, Lorain County Mr. Baseball, right? It's a very difficult shoes to fill. But if you could speak to just the impact he's made, how do you think that program in general, going from high school all the way down to the youth level, how do you think the entire program felt that impact and still feels it to this day?
I think when a school like Elyria gets somebody like that, it's major. You don't see too many kids getting Mr. Basketball or Mr. Baseball or Mr. Football coming from that city. So it's a community. It's a school event. It's a school award. Obviously, Isaac put in the work to get it, but we all feel it and we all appreciate it and know what it took to get to that point and understand that it's under Elyria label, so it'll always be remembered.
And I feel like we had the same kind of discussion last year because when you guys get to the playoffs, it seems like you guys just go to a different level. Last year, you guys almost pulled one off, or 2 years ago, rather, you guys almost pulled off a pretty big playoff upset. And again, you had the lead against North Royalton, a top 10 team in the state. So
a couple plays there. I think Nico Spicer was 2 feet from a home run. I think it was a 3-run shot at that point. If he would have got it over, I think that game was ours. And also, we made a silly bunt error, just a mistake. And as playoff baseball, you can't make those mistakes. But it's good to see that what we teach throughout the year finally comes to light when it comes to the playoff time. And obviously, we always talk about we want to win games throughout the season, but our ultimate goal is to make a deep playoff run. So we don't want to peak too early. We don't want to peak too late. But I think these last 2 years we've been doing a very, very good job of just peaking at the right time. I mean, our energy is there. Something so simple, we put a T in the locker room last year, and our hitting went from F to A just like that off of a T. So just little stuff like that.
What are some things that you've incorporated in your practices and incorporated in the culture of Elyria baseball since you took over in 2023?
I know a lot of what I want to do is mental toughness. We work hard, we work fast, and there's a lot of stuff that I throw at them, but it's only because, if you can get through our practices, you should be able to get through the game. We were just talking about it today. Our practices move fast, but no game ever will move as fast as we go in practice. So if we can just slow it down a little bit, we'll be all right.
You were a multi-sport athlete when you played at Elyria, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you have a lot of those kids in this program, don't you?
Yeah, we have a lot of football kids this year. For whatever reason, kids wanted to bowl this year. Half the kids wanted to go bowl this year.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, whatever works. I'll never tell a kid no to another sport, but, hey, being a part of a team is something special. So if you want to go bowl, you want to go I had a swimmer last year. Go swim. I have some golfers this year. I have football players. I have a little bit of everything.
Wow, I've never heard of that bowling to baseball transition.
I mean, you probably aren't getting too strong over it, but I mean, you're still on the team.
Or swimming to baseball, really. You don't really see that.
And you'll be surprised. The swimmer was probably the most conditioned kid we had on the team last year. So
I bet.
He ended up being all conference too, so it kind of correlates.
And I mean, look, there's a skill set, right? I mean, when you're bowling, there are certain skills
100%.
it takes in order to dial in and do what you have to do to average your 200s each week, whatever the case may be. How do you think that translates?
Somehow, some way, I always find a way for their sports to translate to baseball somehow. Like bowling, you got to stay locked in. You got to be mental tough. Baseball, you got to be mental tough. Basketball, you have to play defense. You got a defensive slide. You got to be low. That's how we play defense. We got to be low to high. Swimming, you got to be in shape mentally because it just kind of wears on you. It just kind of always find a way to make it correlate to baseball.
Who's expected to lead your pitching staff this season?
Probably Maurice Stone. We have a good senior Chevy, Ryan Chevalier. He was kind of a spot guy last year, so I expect him to have a good year. But Maurice was our workhorse last year from the pen, and we're hoping for him to be that starting guy this year.
How deep is the staff?
We're deeper than we've ever been pitching-wise, but we don't have a lot of experience. So I expect Maurice and Chevy to lead the way and kind of plug and play as we go.
We talked about with some of the coaches throughout the night. Have you guys had a chance to have any scrimmages so far? Have you learned anything from those scrimmages?
We've actually had all 4 of our scrimmages already. So we played good, we played bad. Obviously, you know how scrimmages go in March. It's a learning curve, but I think we're right where we need to be in March. Like I said, you don't want to peak too early, and you don't want to peak too late, but I think we're right where we need to be.
What are some things you feel really good about after taking a look at those scrimmages? What are some things you feel like could really be a strength for you guys?
Defensively, I've always, since day one, we have to be elite defensively. Obviously, you make your errors in your scrimmages, but I think I always base off of what we did last year, we're 100 times better defensively than we were last year already in March. We're moving runners a lot better offensively. Now, we're not necessarily hitting the ball better, but we're moving runners. And as you know, hitting is just timely. You have to have timely hitting. That's what we're doing. So outside of that, we've been really good in our scrimmages. We haven't come away with the wins, but it's not wins or losses in scrimmages. It's about just getting better, seeing what we can do, and kind of seeing what the best position for you is on the field.
You talked about it a little bit, that you want to have a deep playoff run. What are some other goals you plan to achieve starting the season and throughout the season?
And it sounds so cliche, but my first year here, I wanted to win that conference so bad, and I went into some type of deep depression when I didn't win the conference. So I've kind of took the goals out of it. I just want to compete every day and come in and get better every day, and that'll take care of itself.
Talking about the scrimmages, I think every coach has a similar idea as to what they want to get out of that scrimmage. You want to be healthy at the end of it. You want to learn something about your kids. You want the kids to learn something too. At the end of the day, when you get to the end of the scrimmage, what are you hoping as a coach to get out of that experience?
First and foremost, we have to have fun. I don't think these kids, they obviously see it now, but I'm their biggest cheerleader. I love watching them. I took a step back this year. I'm not going to coach third base this year, but it's because I want to be their fan. I want to be their coach from the dugout. I want them to see how involved I am with them. And I think they're starting to see it, and they're understanding, I'm coming in. I want energy. I'm going to bring the energy with you. Whatever you need from me, I'm here for you, but just the same in respect. Whatever I need from you, I just need the same.
That's going to be different for you, right?
Oh,
being in the dugout, not being at third.
Something you're going to have to get used to.
Yeah, it sounds. I'm used to it. The scrimmages got me, so I know we got a good third base coach. Coach West, he's obviously he's one of the best ever. I'm so fortunate to have him, so I think it'll be easy, smooth transition.
When do you guys get going? When's the opener?
Saturday against Firelands.
Okay, so very nice.
We'll see. You never know.
Well, what are some things you're hoping to achieve in practice these next few days to get ready for that opener?
Just consistency. I want these kids. There's a certain way to play baseball. Just a respect level. I just want the kids to understand what it takes to be great and how to respect the game the right way. We always talk about playing baseball the right way. There's a certain way to play it, and that's just kind of, let's just work towards it. They're not going to, we always go back, as high school kids, they're going to make mistakes, but let's just do it the right way.
Yeah, and it's all about how you rebound.
No, 100%.
Right?
And we always say that. It's easy to have a good day. It's easy to have 2 good days or easy to get 1 win. Let's have 2 wins. Let's have 3 wins. Let's have a week of practice, and then we can call ourselves consistent, and that's when the good team comes into play.
Good stuff. Coach Connell,
appreciate
the time
yes,
as
sir.
always. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Jordan Connell, head coach of the Elyria Pioneers, joining us here on the Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet. Stop on by. We're going to close up the kitchen here pretty soon, man. So you're running out of time. Get on down here pretty soon before time runs out. All right, we'll take one more time out and come back, and we'll wrap things up in here in just a few moments. back out to Smitty's Place here in Elyria. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bulbarge talking to the Lorain County baseball coaches getting set for the season opener. For some of these teams, it'll happen in a few days. For some, it'll be over the weekend, maybe in the next week, depending on what kind of curveball Mother Nature decides to throw at us here. And we're talking with Avon head coach Patrick Scola. Coach, thanks for stopping by, man. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, a lot of things I want to talk about, but the first thing I want to hit on, you recently tweeted about your team's Saturday morning yoga sessions. Got to ask you about that. What do you believe these sessions are doing for the team?
Yeah, it's just something that we've implemented over the last 4 years that just is a promotion of working on mobility. We have a great lifting program in our school, and there's just an added benefit to just making sure we can be the most flexible we can be and just the most mobile we can be.
How have they taken to it so far? How have the guys taken to it?
They love it, yeah. It's a very humbling experience for all of them.
Definitely recovers well after a hard week of practice.
Yeah, we do use it as like a reset from the week, whether it went well or whether there were some areas from the week that we can improve on. It's just a good opportunity for us to reset and realize that's the end of 1 week and then to move on to the next week. And it's just a good overall experience for all the guys.
You've gone outside the area to play your two scrimmages. You played two teams from way outside Lorain County in Twinsburg and Walsh. You know, what did you take away from those two scrimmages?
Well, I'm super fortunate they were willing to come to us.
They have no choice, man. You got that beautiful turf field over at Crusher Stadium. Where else would they rather be?
A lot of learning experiences from those first two scrimmages. One of the things we try to do is we want to scrimmage the best teams in this area because that shows us where we're at. And from each of those scrimmages, we've learned a lot of areas we can continue to improve on, and we want to just continue to get better, and we are fortunate to have another scrimmage tomorrow against North Royalton.
We talked about with all the other coaches, the toughness of the SWC conference. Outside of conference, is there anyone on the schedule that you're really looking forward to face, home or away?
We always just try to have a tough non-conference schedule. We're playing teams like Hoover, Upper Arlington, Big Walnut. To name a few, I know I'm missing some really good teams out there, but we just want to challenge ourselves. Even we come from the SWC is one of the best conferences around, and it's just an area for us to just see where we're at in a non-conference game, and because those are the teams we want to play come postseason time.
You said it's a scrimmage against North Royalton?
Yeah.
I would imagine that's still a game you guys have circled because you guys took them down 1-0. District title win last year for you guys. You took down North Royalton, and I'm sure that there is a lot that you guys learned on that nice run you had last year, and especially a win over a team like that was one of the top teams in the state.
Yeah. Like I said, we want to scrimmage the best, and it's just another opportunity to play against a great team, to go up against a different opponent, to see where we're at come when we start our opening day. And yeah, it's a great team. Every scrimmage is important. We don't necessarily circle one, but it's another good test for us.
What has been the preparation been like these last month and a half, 2 months going into the opener? What are some things that you've been keen on in practice to work on?
Well, we return a lot of seniors, a lot of returners, a lot of starters, which we're super fortunate. They've been with the program. They understand our standards, our expectations, our non-negotiables, just our overall cultural ways. But we need to understand that every year is a new year. Every year is a new opportunity for us to learn and come together as a group, come together as a brotherhood. And one of our main areas of focus is everyone can have the will to win, but it's really special when you can have the will to prepare and practice, because that's where it all starts, even getting an opportunity to be successful on the field. So we're really focusing on having the will to prepare at practice and winning each day at practice.
Seems like every year you guys lose a chunk, but you reload every year. So who are some of the kids you'll be counting on to help you reload going into this season?
Yeah, we're super fortunate to have just great players in our program, but who are also great people and great teammates. So we have guys like Ian Kane, a Kent State commit, Ryan Sudbrook, a Toledo commit, Andrew Falasco, Colton Fitch, Jason Gillespie. I'm just reading them because it's way easier. Just because there's so many great kids, I don't want to miss any of them. Kyle Krell, Robbie Sikora, Luke Holtzman, to name a few. Those are just a lot of the returning guys coming back. And then those are senior returners, and then some younger guys who are going to get another opportunity. Sam Spike, Hunter Jackson, Baron Everly, and then just to name a few.
What does it mean to have some of your players going on to the next level, to college, to D1? What does that mean to you that they're continuing their baseball career?
It's a blessing just to have those type of guys in our program who understand what it takes to get to the next level, and they have a great opportunity to leave a legacy for our younger guys. to show those younger guys what it takes to be an ultimate competitor, but also just an incredibly hard worker to perfect your craft in the offseason, and then when it comes to game time, being the most selfless teammate you could possibly be, because all those guys who are playing at the next level, they're great teammates as well.
13 letter winners are coming back, 8 starters. So clearly there's a lot of experience coming back for you guys. Let's talk about that pitching staff. Who do you expect to pace that staff this season?
Yeah, we got a good group of pitchers coming back. Blake Elder, Jensen Petro, to name a few, who have had experience on a varsity baseball field, and some young guys who are just going to get an opportunity, like John Carter, Ben Strichek, to name a few. And then we have a few a senior catcher who has dealt with pitchers, and they have and Kyle Krell, who just knows the expectation of how hard it is to pitch in a game, especially whether it could be cold out, it could be warm out, and he does a great job at just living in the moment. We have another younger catcher, Nate Peters, who can also learn from the older catchers, but also learn from the pitching staff and how to handle them, whether they're pitching or not pitching in a game, and just developing as we grow and learn from. Like I said, I've said this a lot, and just a staple in our program is just learning from each experience.
Out of those 8 starters that are returning for you this season, who do you expect to lead your offense, or leaders in the offense?
Well, we have 4 captains, Ryan Sudbrook is one of our captains. Ian Kane is one of our captains, returning from last year as captain, so that's pretty special to be named a captain as a junior. And then we added 2 more over the last few weeks, and Andrew Falasco and Kyle Krell. And the one thing that I would just say about all of them together is they're just incredible human beings that come from great families that are just phenomenal role models for each other, for their teams, for the younger guys. And they just do a great job of being selfless. And one of our culture standards is just we can only control what we can control. And they do a great job at living where their feet are, and they win practice every day. And it's a great staple for our young guys and for our guys on our varsity team to just to get on the saddle and ride with them every single day.
Because of where you guys play and because of where you guys practice, you don't necessarily have to go south. I know last year you didn't go too far south. You went to Columbus.
Yeah.
You went a couple hours down south.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any trips outside the area to take this season?
We are doing the Columbus thing again. We're going to get to play Upper Arlington, and last year we played a school from Kentucky, but this year we're going to play another really good team in Big Walnut down in Columbus area.
So some top-notch competition, no question about that. If we can just spend another minute, talking about where you guys play,
yeah.
And, what an advantage you feel like that is for you guys, because it feels like, you mentioned it earlier. Look, teams like Twinsburg and Walsh, that's close to an hour away. They're willing to come all the way out there to play because unless it snows cats and dogs, chances are you guys are playing.
Yeah, it's definitely colder at Crushers when it's really cold, but just because it's right on the lake there. But yeah, we're super fortunate to be able to play at a stadium like that. Crushers has been great to us. We have an acronym in our program, just GRACE, and the G is grateful. And every single day we remind our guys and even our coaches that we should be grateful that we even get an opportunity to be on a field like this. And we're pretty special, and yeah, it makes it super easy that a lot of teams want to come play us rather than us having to travel to them.
In our conversation last year, you mentioned something I thought was pretty interesting. In a sport where, look, failure is to be expected. If you're an all-star, you're probably failing 7 out of 10 times. Mm-hmm. But I thought you made an interesting comment saying, look, we tell our guys it's not failure. It's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
How have the guys taken to that?
Yeah, and this is over the last 4 years that the failure happened. We don't even use the word failure. Like, it's just areas of improvement. Everything's a lesson, and whether you win or lose in a game, like, we can always grow from every experience. And that's one of our mottos is we want to be humble and hungry and humble. So that's an area. If we're humble enough to realize we can still continue to get better, then we're going to be where we need to be towards the end of the year.
What are the goals for you guys this season?
Our goal is to be where our feet are every single day. Obviously, I can name a million goals, win the conference, district, states. Like, those are all a part of our goals. I'm not going to, that has to be, because we play a sport where there is a winner and a loser, and it matters. But the biggest thing for our program is how we develop them as human beings. That's the overall success that we define. Are they developing as young men, being great people in the classroom, being great people in the community, and being great members of their family, and then members of our family, too, in our baseball program.
Great stuff. Coach Skoll, we appreciate the time as always. When does the season start for you guys?
We open up on March 31st against Elyria.
So you guys are a week out. How about that? We're counting down, man.
Yeah,
it's almost
super excited.
Here. Well, they say it'll be 60 over the weekend. Hopefully that carries into the early stages of next week.
Yeah, we're excited, and we're really excited just to get to go to work. And like I said, this is one of our favorite times, just to be together as a group and learn from each other and learn from each experience.
Awesome. Coach Scola, thanks for the time.
No problem. Thanks.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Patrick Scola, head coach of the Avon Eagles, joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria on the Lorain County Sports Network for our 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show. We'll take one last time out and come back to wrap things up with Lorain head coach Brad Turnus after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Rounding third, heading home, final segment of the 2025 Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. He's Jared Vinecourt, I'm Andy Bolbarch, and we have our final guest of today's show. We've got Lorain head coach Brad Turnus joining us here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coach, we saved the best for last, man. Great to have you on. How are you?
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
So many things to get into. You know, the youth program, I'm sure, is something you want to talk about here because that's really picked up some steam over the last time we talked. It's been a year since we sat down and talked about this, but I know that was an area you guys were hoping to ramp things up. Talk about the growth of that youth program and how things have progressed.
Yeah, I know last year the Coach Leva got things going with the summer hot stove team. They had, I want to say, 8U all the way up through 12U. They had about 4 teams. This year it's up to, I believe, over 12 teams, and we're going from T-ball all the way up to 14U. So we got multiple teams in multiple different age groups, and it's really taken off.
What does it mean with your youth growing, having the pipe yard? Have it been reinvented the last few years? What does it mean that you guys had that facility?
Yeah, I think the facility is definitely something that's selling to the youth. You know, it's a top-notch facility, probably one of the best ones in Lorain County. The pipe yard facility, as well as even the youth fields that are at Campana Park over there as well, have been all renovated, and you know, they're in top shape, ready to go.
I was blown away by Campana Park. My nephew lives over in Twinsburg, but they actually came out to play a game at Campana Park last summer. That was my first glimpse at just how much everything had changed. So you're at not just the pipe yard, which, of course, with the new turf infield, the new drainage system in the outfield, we'll talk about that stuff here in a minute, but Campana Park is totally transformed also. It really is an awesome facility, which will hopefully help to kickstart and rejuvenate that youth program, as we alluded to earlier. But let's get back to the pipe yard. I know in our discussion last year, we talked about how things were changing with that turf infield. How do you think that's benefited you guys with not just the turf infield, but that new drainage system in the outfield too?
Yeah, you know, we've been able to get outside a lot more. There were some years where we might only have 2 or 3 practices on a field before playing our first game. And, you know, we've been outside for the last 2.5 weeks now. So we're getting a lot more reps on the field. The kids are a lot more comfortable playing the bounces and just understanding the turf field. So, you know, it's definitely helped us come a long way versus being in the gym trying to prepare for a game that's played on a field.
Wildly different. You certainly don't get the hops in the gym that you do outside. So I know that helps you guys out a lot to get out there and practice a bit more. Last year in the Lake Erie League, you guys will make that transition next year. You'll see some familiar foes, though, when you go on over to the GCC. What will you miss about playing in the Lake Erie League?
You know, we've had some good relationships with some of the coaches and some of the other teams that we played. You know, we'll probably keep a couple of those teams on our schedule as non-conference games. But, you know, we're looking forward to finishing this year off and hopefully try to repeat and, you know, win the LEL championship again this year to end the LEL for our run in the LEL on a high note.
How do you build off the LEL championship? What were some goals for you with your coaching staff going into the offseason?
Yeah, you know, we definitely have talked about we want to repeat, especially being the last year for the LEL. We want to go out on top of the LEL. But we also want to try to continue developing the program so that we're able to compete next year. Because, you know, when we move to the new conference next year, it's going to be a step up in the competition level. So we have to keep making those progressions so that we can be competitive next year as well.
Well, let's talk about how you continue to be competitive this year. Who are some of the names and faces we'll be talking about when it comes to the Lorain Titans?
Yeah, you know, 2 or 3 of our guys that are probably most productive last year. We have 3 seniors, especially Derek Encarnacion is a solid middle infielder, catcher, pitcher. Tracy Huff is back as probably our lead pitcher. He had the most innings on the staff last year. He was the LEL Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, as well as Preston Whitfield, another left-handed pitcher that's coming back at significant innings. He was number 1 on our team in hitting last year, with Derek was second right behind him, I think a couple points behind. So those 3, I expect those seniors to kind of lead the way. We do still have 3 other seniors that are going to get significant innings and do a lot as well, with Xavier Carrion at the corner infields and pitching. We also have Jaxiel Colazo in center field. He's speedy and can run a long way to track down the balls in the outfield. And then Joey Hall is another senior that hopefully can step it up this year and contribute a lot of positive things at the varsity level.
Can you elaborate on some of your strengths, which you believe will be your defense and your speed? Can you talk about some of the individuals that you feel like will help you expose that defense and speed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say our cornerstone as far as the defense, Derek Encarnacion up the middle as a shortstop. He's got some of the best hands in the county. So we look for him to probably be a front runner as far as leading our defense and leading by example. He's also a backup catcher, so he'll do a few innings behind the plate, but it's hard to get that glove out of the shortstop position. So I would expect him to be, kind of the cement to our defense. But overall, I think defense is going to be our strong suit. Most of the guys have been playing well on the turf. They've learned those bounces. And then, like you said, the speed. The speed is definitely going to contribute in the outfield. We still got guys battling for positions, so, a lot of the outfield speed positions are going to come down to who's hitting the ball as well.
We talked about with some of the coaches here tonight, some newcomers on your squad. Who are some newcomers that look to make an impact with the Titans this season?
Yeah, a couple of them. I know we have Brandon Perez as a junior that's coming up. He'll be looking to be our starting catcher. He filled in at the end of the season in a pinch when we had a guy go down. So he stepped into a role as a leader, as a catcher, as a sophomore. That's not an easy job to fill. And he was very good as a sophomore catcher. So we look for him to take kind of a leadership role behind the plate and, keep elevating his game. Another junior that I look forward to is Jalen Williams. He's probably either a second baseman, maybe third base, as well as pitching for us. And then again, like I said, some of the other ones, it's going to depend on the bat. So who's going to get the playing time is going to be who's hot with the bat. I know Jacob Rivera, Xavier Parker, a couple other ones that we're looking forward to having good seasons.
I believe it was last year or the year before. You guys played Clearview at the Pipe Yard under the lights, and I think you mentioned to us last year you were trying to bring that Friday night lights atmosphere into baseball. That's a really cool feature that not many schools get the chance to experience. Do you guys have anybody on the schedule to play under the lights this year?
I know we do have 2. I know we're playing Shaw on a weeknight doubleheader. But we have Clearview, so we're going to have that kind of feature game for our senior night a little later in the season on a Friday night for a night game. So we'll have that electric feel again, I think, when we play Clearview for that kind of Battle of Lorain.
Can you expand on the reaction from the guys and just how special that is? Because baseball is one of those few sports you don't typically get the chance to play at night under those lights like you do in some other high school sports. So could you talk about the reaction you've gotten from some of the kids about just how special that really is?
Yeah, we kind of left it up to the seniors. I talked to them early in the season. They were like, Coach, we want Clearview to be our senior game. So I'm like, all right, if that's what you guys want, we'll work it out. I've already talked to Coach Pito over at Clearview. We got that worked out. We moved it to a night game because it was originally scheduled for a day game, and he agrees with that atmosphere. You can't beat it. You were there for that game. That game was unbelievable. We had a similar game last year with Clearview, so they're all looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll have a big crowd in attendance. And like you said, not many guys get to play under the lights. We're one of the few teams that have lights available. So, everybody in the city will probably be looking forward to that game.
We talked about it with Clearview, too. With you guys having a turf infield, do you have more home games in a way?
We definitely do. A lot of our LEL games end up getting moved. We have a home and away back-to-back kind of during the week. And there's been often, I think last year we ended up playing 17 of our 27 at home. That especially early in the season, a lot of our games will get moved from away opponents to our field because of the benefits of the turf.
And that's got to be something that you like, too. That's an advantage for you. You don't have to travel as much, less wear and tear for the players, no?
Absolutely. Plus that home field advantage, they know the bounce. So that's always definitely on our side.
And we need to mention, we certainly appreciate you guys having us out at your place. April 5th coming up, a triple header. at your place at the Pipe Yard. You guys will take on Elyria to open things up. That's the lid lifter. Should be a great one. It's always a great rivalry between Elyria and Lorain. Avon Lake Firelands at 1:30, and then I was going to call it a nightcap. It's more like an afternoon cap or like a pre-evening cap because it takes place at 4 o'clock, open door against Clearview. We will broadcast all of those right here on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. So Saturday, April 5th, make sure you lock that in. 11 o'clock first pitch for game one of that triple header with Lorain taking on Elyria. We're excited to be there for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been excited working with Gary to try to plan this and try to get things with Dave to get this organized. So I was happy to see that we were able to get 4 other teams along with Elyria to play us on that day to highlight some of the great baseball that we have in Lorain County.
And no question about that. And we've talked about your facility quite a bit and how we feel like that changes the dynamic. There's no question about that. And I think when opponents come in to play you guys at the Pipe Yard, it's an atmosphere that in high school baseball you just don't experience very often. With the grandstand, that big stadium feel, you get the impression that sometimes when opponents come in there, it's a little overwhelming.
It can be. You definitely see their eyes light up, some of the teams that have never played there when they get off the bus and they start walking up and they look around. It's a little bit of an eye-opener, but you know what? A lot of the kids look forward to that, and it gives them that opportunity to play on a field that's, major league specs and, to have the grandstand behind like that. So they look forward to it also when they're coming to play us.
And it's just, I guess, home field advantage if you want. You guys have that big backstop. A lot of fields, like you said, that's the stadium field. They don't have that. You guys have that big backstop as well.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a good catcher to play at the Pipe Yard. So otherwise you could possibly go 2 bases on a pass ball.
Yeah, and that's no lie. You could definitely go 2 bags. Well,
especially if you don't get the bounce off of it.
You could go 2 bags. You were a pinch runner, you said, right? So
yeah.
You could definitely go 2. I wouldn't even give it a chance to try and get to second base in a pass ball, man. I'd probably be out of breath halfway down there to second base. But it is unique, and it is special to be there. And we're looking forward to be there for that triple header against Saturday, April 5th. We've got a triple header. We'll broadcast all 3 games. 11 o'clock, Lorain taking on Elyria. 1:30, Avon Lake taking on Firelands. And then Clearview against Open Door at 4 o'clock. You guys will play before that. Who do you guys have in the opener?
We open up on Monday with Rocky River. We have a scrimmage tomorrow with Avon Lake, so that'll be our last scrimmage to try to get ready for the opener. Hopefully we'll have a few more outdoor practices this week to finish, tightening up some of the loose ends that we got to do to get ready for Monday's opener with Rocky River.
Well, how do you feel about the way things are going in practice? You mentioned you've got that tune-up tomorrow against Rocky River. How do you feel about the way the guys are performing so far in practice and getting ready for that scrimmage tomorrow?
Yeah, I feel optimistic. Our guys are starting to come together a little bit as a family. We have a foreign exchange student that's joined our team that's kind of helped bring us together. They're getting that family environment with him and trying to welcome him into the game of baseball because he's from France and he doesn't really know the game of baseball. So, taking him on has helped to bring our team closer together. So that's been a positive experience for us. And the kids are starting to gel a little bit. So it's a matter of just keep working together, keep trying to get each other's back, picking each other up. And hopefully we'll be ready come Monday.
Hold the phone, man. That's really awesome. So you have a foreign exchange student coming in from France where, of course, baseball isn't really a big deal. So what kinds of intricacies?
Soccer.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. I mean, what kinds of intricacies is he picking up on as he learns this game?
He's taking everything in that he can. It started with the fact of having to explain to him what an out is. So, that's where we had to start with. So, but hey, he's coming a long way. I wouldn't doubt if he ends up getting into a few games this year because he can already catch a fly ball and throw to a cutoff man. So he'll find some.
Does he have family that lives in Lorain?
No, he has a host family. Yeah, his host family lives in South Lorain. That's having him on home or in here for the school year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how cool of an experience that has to be for the kids, too, to really kind of rally behind that and really help introduce them to this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're having a good time with it. He has really helped bring our team together as well.
Awesome. Well, best of luck 1 week from today against Rocky River. And, Coach, we will see you in about 10 days at the Pipe Yard.
Sounds good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Coach. Lorain Titans
Pleasure,
head coach Brad Turnus joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet. And today it was where coaches met. We had a great time here, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great to see the coaches, learn more about their team and what their expectations are this season. So I'm really looking forward to Lorain County baseball this season.
Not that far away. We talked to a couple of coaches who will get going on Friday, weather permitting, of course. And that's the other challenge. I think we talked about it a little bit, but I felt like we harped on it more last year. With spring sports in general, you may not play a game in the entire month of March, and then you get into April, you play a couple more, then all of a sudden it's early May, and you've got to squeeze 7 games into 3 days.
Yeah, either that or you're playing a game every day like an MLB schedule, because we don't know with Ohio weather. Every spring is different, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Look, it's always a blast to cover Lorain County High School baseball and softball. Speaking of which, we'll be right back here again on Wednesday evening for our softball coaches show. So be sure to tune into that here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We'll talk to the Lorain County softball coaches in the area and get ready for action in the circle and beyond. That'll be a lot of fun for us. 2 days from today, we'll be right back here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. Well, it was a lot of fun to talk to all the coaches that showed up here today. We had about a dozen coaches come by and spend some time with us and talk about what they expect from their teams this spring on the diamond. Jared, any final thoughts from you before we sign off?
No, thank you for Smitty's for hosting us here tonight and this Wednesday, and I look forward to speaking to the softball coaches on Wednesday to get their perspective and insights about their teams.
That'll be a blast, no doubt about that. And as Jared mentioned, big thanks to Stephanie Forthover, the entire staff here at Smitty's Place in Elyria for hosting us. Had a great time last year. We had a great time here tonight to talk to all the coaches. Service here is top-notch. The food here is top-notch. Smitty's in Elyria, where friends meet. Stop on by. Look, today they had a chicken noodle soup. They had Sloppy Joe as their specials.
Yeah.
The world-famous Smitty Burger Man. Always a great time when you stop by here at Smitty's. That's going to wrap things up for us here on the Lorain County Sports Network. A big thanks to all the coaches that came by and joined us here today. The gang was all here today. Dave Rivera was able to put all this together, orchestrate all this, and put the schedule together. So a big thanks to Dave for doing that. Max Drummond on the camera. Captain of our ship, the director, Edwin Vereen, doing a wonderful job as he always does. Jared Viancourt, my thanks to you for doing an outstanding job. And that'll wrap things up for us here from Smitty's Place in Elyria. Don't forget to join us again on Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We'll get started on the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. And again, want to plug that showcase at the Pipe Yard in Lorain, Saturday, April 5th. A triple header. Lorain taking on Elyria at 11 o'clock. Avon Lake against Firelands at 1:30. Open Door taking on Clearview at 4 o'clock. For Jared Viancourt, Edwin Vereen, Max Drummond, and Dave Rivera, this is Andy Bolbarch saying thanks again for tuning in to the Lorain County Baseball Coaches Show here on the Lorain County Sports Network.